Podtacular episode 341, Requiem, Artifact, and Haven for January 25th, 2013. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Podtacular, the unofficial Halo Universe podcast. I'm your host, Duststorm.
I'm your other host, Brent Gamer.
And we have... we have back again GLewis, GLewis, back in the podcast hot seat.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Ooh, this is toasty.
I wonder why. Figuring we just did a podcast with you, not just the other day ago. Or as of this recording, not 10 minutes ago. That'll give a hint to people of when we actually recorded these. Anyways, we're talking today about our next set of podcast miniseries that we've been doing. So last week you heard us talk about the first set of campaign, Spartan Ops, and multiplayer stuff, which was Dawn, covering the first campaign mission, Departure, covering the first Spartan Ops episode, and then Complex, covering our first multiplayer map. And this time we are going to be covering our second set of these podcasts, covering the second campaign mission, Requiem, covering the second Spartan Ops episode, Artifact, and covering our second multiplayer map, Haven. So we've had most of the people on so far. We actually have one more to record as of this recording, which will actually be recorded right after this recording. But I know who the guest is going to be. So we have Brian Newman, who's been on the show before. He is helping us cover the Requiem campaign mission. We have Artifact, which is the Spartan Ops episode 2, and we've actually are going to have HaloFanForLife on doing that one. That one's already been released. And then we have Haven, which has been done with Nak3d Eli, and that was a very, very well done episode, if I do say so myself. But to kick things off, before we play those segments for you, we just kind of wanted to give a general rundown of what these are. So let's start off with the campaign. So we have Requiem. This is the first time that we are on the Forerunner planet, Requiem, and we actually find out it's Requiem, called Requiem a little bit later on. But enough of me talking for now. What do you guys think of Requiem for the campaign mission?
Good. Yeah, I mean, insightful, I guess.
So did you like the environment? Did you like how pretty the vista was when you first got out of the crashed Forward to Dawn wreckage?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. You know, have you ever tried to explore the wreckage? It's pretty fun.
Explore in what terms? Just going around and seeing what the weapons are, and there's a couple of terminals that you can
dead elites and everything hanging around.
Well, the neat thing is that you can actually see the elites crawling, and there's a couple of grunts crawling too. And as you walk up to them, you'll see them crawling, and if you don't touch them, they'll basically die because they're about dead anyways.
Yeah.
So you can take them out if you want to. You can just smack them, and then you can kill them that way. But they will kill themselves. I think an elite actually shoots himself with a plasma pistol.
I haven't seen that yet.
I don't exactly remember where that is. But there are several weapons in that first section where you fall down and there's the wreckage of the Dawn. There's a saw in one area, there's a plasma pistol, there's plenty of plasma grenades, needler, carbine.
Get the saw, because that comes out in handy in that level.
It's a beast. The saw's a beast.
I think it's overpowered, but whatever. It's just...
You mean just in general, or specifically for war games?
I would say in general, because it's just a really good weapon, and there's nothing, there's no I think it has really good range. So, and it
has a decent range, but you do chew through a lot of ammo.
I guess it's true.
It's the gun I always wanted the assault rifle to be.
That would be a very, very overpowered assault rifle. Although the assault rifle got a huge buff in Halo 4, it's a beastly weapon.
Yeah, it's actually accurate for once. I'm sorry for other Bungie people who...
I like the assault rifle in Halo 4. I don't use it that much, but when the time permits and the time is needed to use an assault rifle, it's a pretty decent weapon to use.
Yeah, I would agree.
When it's the only thing you've got in campaign, it's It's not bad to have it.
Well, it's not even. It doesn't even show up that much in campaign to begin with. So,
I'm trying to think of instances where I used it in multiplayer, like ever.
What, the
Given
assault
the
rifle?
AR.
I've used it.
No, I haven't used it at all either.
It seems to pop up quite a bit on the drift. I think it is a random ordnance drop on Vortex and Meltdown because they're the two big maps. I don't think it's a random ordnance drop on any other map, but it does come in personal ordnance too. And I do see that. I see it from time to time.
Well, if you pick AR out of your personal ordnance, I think you're doing it wrong.
You think they are doing
just
it wrong.
say-
AR never shows up in your personal ordnance drops.
Oh, I thought you said it just did.
No, the saw.
Oh,
I thought we were talking about the saw.
Yeah, of course. I was like, I've never seen the AR in an ordnance drop.
Oh,
But
no.
If that showed up, I would definitely not pick it.
I thought we were talking about the saw.
No, the saw, shows up in
Okay,
ordnance
okay.
drop.
No, yeah.
I was
Assault
talking
rifle.
about the AR. I use the saw all the time in multiplayer.
okay,
If I see the
okay.
saw, I pick it up and go to town.
Sorry, my bad.
Go to
Yeah,
town,
the assault.
like where, like Dallas?
Yeah, I just
Really?
go all around town. It doesn't matter where I'm at. You just pick up that saw and you use it.
I've seen
Tulsa, man. I heard Tulsa's a good town. I don't
Yeah,
know.
man, like
Anybody in
Phoenix.
Tulsa?
I've seen the assault rifle used pretty effectively on King of the Hill games. And a lot of the smaller maps, like I see people try to use it on Haven when it's actually not a very good weapon to use on Haven. I've seen it used a bit on the Drift. I haven't really noticed it used on many other maps other than those two. There are the times when you have the weekly challenges to get the assault rifle kills, like get, I think, like 120 or something for the weekly, or get 15 assault rifle kills in one game, something like that. So that's when I mostly see it come out, is when people are going for that weekly challenge. Or a daily challenge if it happens to be one of those as well. But moving back onto the campaign mission, what do you guys think overall of just kind of the layout and how you progress through the level? The Warthog run, for me, it was interesting kind of driving through all that. Granted, I think it took a little long.
That's where it's falling apart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where you have pieces of the Dawn that you're driving through.
I don't mind going through the first time when you have to go through the first three, like getting rid of the shields or whatever it is to continue going on. But the second time when you're fighting the elites, you do it again. I think it's kind of annoying. And there's
What?
I'm trying to remember.
Are you thinking of the right map?
Maybe not.
I think you're thinking of the next one.
Okay.
I think you're thinking of Forerunner. Requiem's
thought-
the one where you're fighting the Covenant and you're walking through nice kind of green open pastures. The first area you get to is the sniper towers. The second area you get to is those two pillars with the map room.
Is that the one where you eventually fight the hunters and you basically have no ammo?
At the very end, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. I'm thinking of the wrong map. You're right. I'm thinking of Forerunner. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking. Wait. Shields? That sounds more like Forerunner.
Yeah.
So no. Requiem is the one before that.
Yeah. I mean, the only problem I have with that is that last part with the hunters, which I guess is intended to be that way. So.
Well, did you know about the crate there that has the fuel rod guns in it?
No.
So that's probably why. So, and we'll cover this in the
I always end up
campaign
killing with
cast.
like plasma pistols because I can't find anything.
Oh no, there's a crate before you go up to that last platform. If you go back down the ramps, there's a crate right there. Granted, it may be flipped over, but there are 2 sets of fuel rods and they're full of 4 clips. So each one has 20.
That's more than enough to take care of those guys.
Not on legendary.
Well,
It takes more than that on legendary. I mean, most of the time it'll be adequate, and then there's plenty of stickies around because of how many elites and grunts that you've killed. So, in combination with that and the sticky, you'll most likely be fine.
overall enjoyed it. You know, like when you're right before that point where you can get the ghost and you pretty much take care of everybody. But the snipers do get a little.
So what'd you think of that point? Because that seems one of those choke points where once you get through and you're pretty much locked in, you're being constantly pinged by those ghosts. Did you guys find that part frustrating, annoying, or was it kind of easy for you?
Well, it's
Granted,
usually.
have you played on Legendary yet, Greg?
No. Okay.
That's
So we're
why.
talking about Legendary.
I'm talking about just in general, but
Well, I can't say for Legendary, but it seems like usually it's Ghost driving. I mean, it's Grunts driving him, so it's pretty easy to want the headshot. I would imagine if they're piloted by elites, then I could see that being much more difficult.
I found it very frustrating when doing it on Legendary. Because you just have to run past certain areas and get to a certain point where you can actually defend yourself and pick up a good weapon where you can actually take them out.
Are they piloted by elites?
No, they're piloted by grunts.
Oh, is it just hard to have enough ammo to have a DMR at that point?
Well, it's hard to get a good shot on them, and by the time you get there, you may not have a precision weapon.
Yeah, that's the only problem I would think you would have is if you got that far and you just didn't have the gun.
Especially from the previous part. So the part right before that is the bridge. And a question I wanted to ask you guys is, whenever you get to the point where you can pick up the Banshee, do you pick up the Banshee or do you fight through the rest of the Covenant that are there and take out the other Banshees from on the bridge?
I think you have a rocket launcher at that point, right?
No, you do not. Well,
I think that there's a rocket launcher. I think if I remember correctly,
think so.
I've played it twice, and I think I've had a rocket launcher both times I've gotten there.
I don't think so. I don't think you get a rocket launcher this early on in the game. Because that's an early point to pick up a rocket launcher for a Halo game. Anyways.
I'm pretty sure there's a rocket launcher that I used to take out the Banshee. Anyway.
I've always taken the Banshee and taken out the two Banshees that are flying around, then just kind of clean up what I needed to clean up before just diving down and hopping out of the Banshee. And there's still a few left over, but I can usually run through to the next part.
It seems like they would be smarter to take the Banshee because then you would have more ammo going forward.
Yeah, but if you're playing on Legendary and you have the Elite shooting you with a Storm Rifle, it does a decent amount of damage to you.
Yeah, I understand that.
And the other Banshees do as well.
On Legendary.
Yeah.
I mean, you really play it straight and fast.
Mm-hmm.
Just pretend I'm familiar and play on easy.
Go around.
Oh boy. Any leftover comments on the campaign? I mean, there's going to be a lot more covered in the mini segment. So,
I guess there are a lot of snipers on that map. It is kind of early on, so you may be a little. I think it's the first time you see snipers, right? Well, I guess...
So there's a couple of Jackal snipers in the towers when you first encounter your set of enemies. So after you drive through all the Warthog jumps, there's a few sniper towers, and there are sniper Jackals in those towers.
I found that. I mean, I haven't played it on Legendary, but I found if you before you approach it, you can stand pretty far away, and they don't even notice you.
Yeah. You can stand pretty far away with the chain gun on the Hog and just shoot the towers out first.
Yeah,
you can do that. There's also the sniper Jackals at the top of the ramps up to the third level at the very end where the hunters are. So
I mean, it's the same thing there. I mean, I think there's two on each side, and I just usually just either take a plasma cannon, the little detachable turret, or I just hopefully I have a precision weapon at that point.
What do you guys think of, or what did you think of the map room, where you had to go and activate the two pillars, and then you had the map where you're trying to pinpoint the Infinity broadcast location?
I thought the set piece was really nice because you get to go be on the inside. You're going to different the two rooms that I guess you're kind of doing exactly what you did in Salt in the control room by overloading the
or two betrayals.
Two betrayals.
Yeah. I know what you meant.
I mean, I really enjoyed that level. I found it again. I'm talking from somebody who hasn't played in Legendary. I found it kind of easy, but it is early on. So,
Brent, you're kind of quiet.
Yeah, I thought it was visually appealing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it was just another it's kind of Halo style gameplay portion you kind of expect.
Yeah, I mean, it was
old school. But I mean, it wasn't.
It was fun because it was elevated. I mean, you can play from the top and the bottom. There are a couple different levels in that one room.
But I didn't think there was anything special about it.
Okay.
Merited,
Fair enough.
a compliment, other than just looking really nice.
Hey, girl, you fine.
So, what about the Spartan Ops episode 2. We covered the first one last week. This one is called Artifact, and this is right after we pick up the artifact from Requiem. Dr. Glassman tries to you said you've played the second one, right, Greg?
No, I've only played the first 2 missions of the first episode.
Oh, so you won't be able to comment on these.
Correct, Mundo.
Okay. Well, a little
Sorry, guys.
spoilerific for you, but I guess
That's
Brent.
Cool. I'll turn my ears off.
We start to see a little bit more involvement of actually having more fight scenes with the Covenant and the Prometheans, where the first episode was really kind of a training grounds mission, and then this second episode is where we really start to dive into the story of the Spartan Ops kind of lore for Halo 4. In terms of balance of gameplay and storyline, what do you think, Brent?
This is kind of where, like, at that point, you kind of figure out Spartan Ops is going to start reusing a lot of set pieces and parts of maps that you've already seen. And it kind of like, it almost ruined me on Spartan Ops a little bit, just the second episode. I mean, the first episode, you didn't really know what to expect. It was just, it was your first experience with Spartan Ops. So you go into the second one and they start introducing
some of the same maps.
I still feel like the entire first half of the first season didn't do story that well. But you can see where they're improving a little bit, but they still the gameplay doesn't feel connected to the overarching narrative. And I think that was a big...
That was a good sentence. I just want to point that out, Brent.
Is this just in the matter of episode 2, or are you talking about like the remaining 3 episodes?
Episode 2, like the point where you finally start figuring this stuff out, like how are they going to handle Spartan Ops in the future?
Oh, okay.
Because the first episode of Spartan Ops, you get into it, it's a new experience, you play through those 5, sections. I don't know that's weird, because it's
chapters.
The first
chapters.
Season 1, Episode 1, Part 1, or Chapter 1, like...
Episode 1, Chapter 1, yeah.
It really didn't start until Episode 3. I really enjoyed the Spartan Ops episodes to the point where I'd want to replay them.
Well,
I felt like any of the Episode 2 chapters were especially fun to replay. And
I don't think from a playing standpoint it was any more beneficial to the Spartan Ops experience as a whole. I think that's a little bit later on in at least these first 5 episodes, but it does lay the foundation of where Spartan Ops is going to go. Like the first one we saw, we have Spartan 4s coming to Infinity. They've been outfitted. They're going back to Requiem, and that's going to be their playground. All right, you have to kind of open it up that way. And then for episode 2, it's they lay the groundwork for where their story is going to launch off of, where they find this artifact, and they have Covenant there, and then you see Glassman trying to evaluate this thing and get sucked in. So that's kind of like the foundation for the story. So episode 1 was more of a tutorial of what kind of Spartan Ops is going to be like, and then episode 2 I felt was more establishing the baseline for the story in terms of how Spartan Ops is going to progress from the cinematic side of things, and then how it kind of integrates in with the gameplay stuff, because there are little bits and pieces of story within what you're playing in terms of the actual missions. Granted, you can get most of the stuff from just watching the cinematic episodes, but there are parts in there where if you actually play the missions, it makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
So let's see, for Haven, which is the multiplayer map that we're going to play here after the Requiem and Artifact segments. This one is a very, very MLG-driven, competitive-driven map. It's very symmetrical, and they've kind of tweaked from a competitive standpoint the spawns and the weapons and all that kind of stuff. It's a favorite map for a lot of competitive people, and for a lot more of the casual, since it gets voted a lot, it's not necessarily as popular. So what do you guys think of Haven as a map? Is it something that you choose whenever it comes up, or is it something that you just kind of like you play it when it comes up?
I definitely choose it. I like it.
I choose it for SWAT. But other than that,
it's a good SWAT one.
I like it for SWAT because you have the 2 levels essentially, and you have little areas where you can poke your head through the holes in the architecture. And
there
see
are
across the map.
so many angles on that map.
Yeah. It's like you never know when you're going to get shot. You'll be running like next to a wall and get shot like through the wall just in the hole.
Because at any one point, you could probably get shot from about 5-7 different places.
Yeah.
Just standing like above the lift jump, you can get shot from the left. You can get shot from behind if someone jetpacks up. You can get shot from the right. You can get shot from the landing part. You can get shot from the bridge on the right, the bridge on the left. You can get shot from many, many places on that map. So it's really a testament to how well you know the map and how well you can play with the strategy when you play really SWAT on that map. And some of the other game types like Regicide is another big one where you...
I think when Halo Forge first came out, like everybody was choosing this map like crazy, if I remember correctly. Like this was the map.
Yeah. Well, it was one of the ones that first got shown to us. It was one of the first maps that 343 showed off. Well, it was it Warehouse or was it Wraparound? Warehouse was Adrift and Wraparound was Haven. So it was one of the original maps that we first saw, which I think that coupled with the fact that it was developed with competitive in mind, I think a lot of people liked having that competitive aspect to it, and it was heavily driven by the competitive community.
It's just a simple map. It really is.
It is, but sometimes simple is the way to go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm definitely agreeing with that.
So it's an all right map. I do think it does get overvoted quite a bit, but it's never been a map where I haven't wanted to play it. It's always been a map that's mostly fun to play. So take that as it is. And then the next voice you will be hearing is me with Brian Newman talking about Requiem. So enjoy, guys. Hello everyone, welcome to our continuing coverage of the Halo 4 campaign. I have with me in the house Brian Newman to talk about the second Halo 4 mission, Requiem. So welcome back, Brian.
Hey, what's up?
Not much. We are having him back. As you guys have probably heard him on before. The last show he was on was actually talking about some of the spoiler stuff back last December, shortly after the game came out. So we are happy to have you back on to help us cover the campaign. As we know, I think most of the people know that listen to this that you are somewhat of a Halo lore expert.
Expert's a strong word. I'd actually like to say I'm more of an expert in women's rights and women's suffrage now from the last podcast.
We got quite a bit of flack back from that.
Yeah, I read the comments.
We're still getting comments. Someone tweeted it today, believe it or not. Yeah.
Dude, oh my God, send me that tweet, please.
Okay, I will.
Oh, that's great. I would recommend. You know what? That was. I don't want to take full blame for that, but I poked something that I shouldn't have. But at the same time, come on.
It was coming. Yeah, I know.
We knew it was going to happen.
I know.
It was a good conversation. I was into it. It was all right.
Yeah.
What episode that was? That was episode 335 on December 12th.
Yes, that's the right one.
Yeah.
But we're going to have some follow-up episodes to really dive into more fiction, because one of the things that people really wanted to see is you and Jeff back talking about more of the fiction stuff. So we're going to definitely have some more shows about the books and more of the Halo story coming next month.
Cool.
And kind of the month after. So prepare.
We've got a book coming out, not next month, but the beginning of March.
I know, and I got to finish the rest of them. Like I'm on, was it the first one? Grasslands. I'm on Grasslands right now, and then I gotta get through Thursday War, so I'm gonna have to go through those books as quickly as possible.
I mean, you can hold on to those, because the next book is the last Forerunner book.
Yeah, but I still want to get through those books because I do want to talk about them at some point.
Fair enough.
I would like to get those done before Silentium, if possible. If possible.
You've read you read what's the second one? Primordium, right?
Yes, I have read it.
Cool. Like man, Primordium was a tough one. That was such a difficult read. Like I liked Primordium a lot, but I like the last 50 pages of Primordium. Like the first 300 pages were like Lord of the Rings, like walk and talk, walk and talk, walk and talk. But man, it had huge payoff.
So that wasn't Guilty Spark, was it? That was a different monitor.
Yeah, no, that was Guilty Spark.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
So Chalkross was one of the personalities that went into Guilty Spark.
Shit, dude. I'm sitting here reading one of the comments that showed up a little bit later.
Uh-huh.
Oh crap, dude, that is mean. Go and boot Johnny John because that's rude. It's not about me. It's that needs to be deleted.
I'll have to take. It might have been one that got posted way after.
Yeah.
What was the date on it?
December 23rd.
Yeah, so it was outside that week window where I usually check comments. Okay, I'll go look at it after we can record this.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, we got a new book coming out soon, which pretty awesome. Can't wait.
Yeah. Do we know what the? There's probably been excerpts about it that I haven't looked up on it yet.
Yeah, they've had experts for several months.
What's the premise?
It is the final days of the Forerunner Flood War. The Halos are about to be primed and fired. Right now, we have the 2 Diadecs. One of the big things about Cryptum was that Cryptum very heavily implied that the main Diadec died.
The Didact?
The Didact. I don't call him that. I'm not. the Didact. No, I'm not. I refuse it. But anyway, the Didact did not die. And obviously he didn't die because we're fighting him in Halo 4. That is the main Didact, the one we see in Halo 4. So we're actually going to be seeing 2 split narratives, I would presume. We're going to be seeing Didact's story, and then we're going to be seeing Bornstellar's story, because it seems at this point that Bornstellar is the one who activated Halo. He is the Didact that's always mentioned in the Halos. And we see him at the end of Primordium. He's fully grown now. He's, more representative of what the Didact really is. He's not a kid anymore. It's been a few years.
Right.
So definitely. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here reading emails from H-Bomb at the same time trying to do this. Something funny is going on. Schooly D is a funny guy. That's all I'm gonna say.
All right.
But anyway, so this the excerpt from this book is there's some of the stuff from the terminals in Halo 4 has got to be going on in this book. They got to be getting into that. I don't know. Have you seen the cover art for Silentium?
Yes.
That'll be the first time I'm ever embarrassed to read a Halo book in public. That is the worst cover art I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's not a very good one.
You've got Didact, who looks like some crazy, evil, maniacal villain. He's got his Cryptum in his hands, and he's making it look like a crystal ball or some shit like that. And the Librarian on there is trying to have a sex-off competition with Cortana. And I mean, they dressed her up all skanky, which I don't know why. Anyway,
it's a really odd looking cover.
That is a weird cover. You know what? I have I've got a framed picture. It's autographed by Sparth, the artist who does the Halo 4 concept art, of the original cover for. Actually, you should have one as well. You got one from PAX. The original cover art for Silentium.
And I have it floating around somewhere. Oh, yeah.
Changed it. They changed it, and I'm like, wow, guys, why would you do that? This, and the initial cover art looks great. Nicholas Bouvier is, I believe, his name.
That's actually up on the wall in my living room, I think. Yeah.
I've got it sitting up here framed, and that is a gorgeous cover art, and they changed it, and it looked anyway.
That's too sad.
Yeah, that is sad. But anyway, so we got that book coming out soon, so super excited about that.
Yeah, indeed. But getting back on topic, we're going to be looking at the Halo 4 second mission for the campaign, Requiem. So this is the one that you crash landed on the planet. Well, actually, the opening cutscene is you're still crash landing on the planet. And we made this joke a little bit earlier as we were playing through the level before the podcast, is that the Chief can survive how many outer space falls to a planet, but yet can't survive a slight drop in campaign or something like that.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a little bit weird. I mean, dude, he takes orbital falls.
Yes, orbital flaws.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a flaw in how you're supposed to get from orbit to the ground without any vehicles. There's a flaw there somewhere in his reasoning. It's like, all right, let's just jump. Screw this. But anyway, yeah, in any orbital fall, he's gotten really good at surviving those. Good on him.
Yeah, we saw it in Halo 2, we saw it in Halo 3, and now we've seen it in Halo 4.
What did he do in Halo 2?
When he planted the bomb.
I mean, it
wasn't an orbital drop, but he still smashed into.
Okay, yeah, he hit that ship with enough velocity to be turned into like a bug on a windshield. Absolutely,
right.
You're right. But anyway, Spartans are awesome, and then they can do that. So, I mean, there's a canon thing that they've always had. Like they've had it since the third book, that Spartans can survive huge plunges like that. That I mean, there's that sequence in the third book where Fred and all the other Spartans jump out of the back of a Pelican that's thousands of feet in the air, because their Mjolnir armor has like a cushioning layer in addition to it's space magic basically. But
right, didn't they like jump out into that trench and Reach or something like that? I forget where, but it was back on Reach, right?
I don't know. They did something anyway. But I mean, the point is their bones can handle it to an extent. Like the problem with it is it's not their bones, it's their internal organs. Like you've got your organs smashing around to the inside of your body. That's not good. And that I mean, like whenever, like say, somebody hits their head, it's not like the trauma of like, oh, you cracked your skull. It's the fact that your brain was bouncing around inside your skull. It's stuff like that is dangerous, right? Well,
right.
Their armor and their bones can kind of compensate for that, but their organs definitely take a pounding doing that. They have to get them replaced frequently.
Yeah. Well,
I'd be very interested to know. Like this is definitely off topic from the second episode, so I'm sorry. The second chapter of Halo 4, but I wonder, what are the Spartans' actual biological ages? Because they go into cryo so often, but they get their organs replaced so often. Like biologically speaking, how old is Master Chief? Like we know from like the day he was born to Halo 3,
current day.
To Halo 4, excuse me, he should be like 46, right? But
is it really that old?
Yeah, he was born in 2511. So, like, he's like 45.
He's now 2561?
No, it's 2557.
Oh, okay. So, yeah.
So, like, depending on
45, 40, okay, wow.
Yeah, so, like, depending on where his birthday falls, he's either, like, 45 or 46, right? But he's just missed out on almost, like, the past 5 years of his life from cryo. Who knows how long he'd been in cryo before Halo 4? Right, before Halo 1,
and
2.
that slows down the cellular growth process, so that's, like, shave off of 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Like, I mean, who knows? And you don't age in cryo, so who knows? And I mean, he was in cryo in between Halo Reach and Halo 1 for like 2 weeks or a month. I mean, the same thing in Halo 2. In Halo 3, there's some time stuff in there where he was in cryo. Who knows how old this guy really is? Like at the end of Halo 4, if you've beaten on Legendary, big spoiler here, you kind of get to see like the rim of his eyes. And like he looks stressed, so I mean he's got a pretty stressful job. He looks like an older guy, he looks age appropriate. But
right. Well, some people would attribute that to the brevet mutation too. But
what are you talking about? You mean Didac?
No, the thing that the librarian did to the chief.
I don't think that would change his face though. That was not a physical thing.
Well, I mean, I've heard that as an argument.
That wasn't them doing a mutation. That was a brevet.
I didn't think so either, but I've heard that argument from people.
Okay, that is actually one of my biggest problems with Halo 4, though. I'm glad you bring that up. Is that the librarian essentially kind of rewrote humans' genetics so that we have this immunity to composition, but it has to be unlocked. I don't really know what that means, but hopefully somebody will explain that later. The 343 will come along and explain why it has to be unlocked. Like maybe there's a failsafe in there. Maybe she kept it like that so that one day if humans were getting too pissy that she could. Who knows?
Well, I mean, yeah, we can save that for another podcast too, because there's a lot of stuff that we are going to be.
Like, we're getting so far off tangent right now. This is
I mean, how many different podcasts could we talk about all this different stuff that's gone on in the campaign? I mean, I think this campaign by far is probably the most concentrated chunk of Halo lore that we've gotten so far, because
it's the least all over the place. Absolutely, like every other. Yeah, actually, I'm going to say Halo 1 is a little bit more concentrated, but every other Halo game is all over the place. You are just jumping from place to place to place to place to place to place to place. This one is definitely much more concentrated, but there's a lot of like tangents where if you keep pulling on that rope, you're going to find something that's like they could take an entire podcast to talk about.
So there's definitely going to be a string of those coming up here soon, guys.
Yeah.
So we'll try to keep this part on track a little bit.
Okay,
so you're falling down to Requiem, and you land in this big pile of rubble. And one thing that we found while we were messing around is there's a few terminals that you can actually go around and activate. The one I think most people find is the one of Dr. Halsey's kind of research entry, and it actually talks about recessive gene that she has that could affect like how long that she might be living, and in turn may affect Cortana.
I mean, that was just a guess on my part. She said the word recessive trait, so
no, I had the same feeling. Like,
I mean, if anybody's ever taken a biology class and they know recessive and dominant genes, so maybe Cortana is the only AI to have ever actually been made from a human's brain. From a live human's brain, excuse me. Every other AI is made from a dead human's brain. So she's the only one to be made from an actual living tissue, which was a clone brain. So maybe there is some weird... Yeah, maybe there is some weird genetic trait that just stuck. I don't know. It probably has something to do with Librarian and her big plan, because you know how Librarian said that she influenced Cortana's creation? Yeah. I'm actually ready to bet that is exactly what it is now that we think about that. we may have just answered that question right there. But yeah, I'm sitting here running through this while we're talking. I've got the volume on mute, so shouldn't be able to hear it through the speakers.
Nope.
I've got it on low anyway. So
I don't hear it, so you're good.
You don't hear it? Okay, cool. So, there's that one amazingly beautiful spot in Requiem, which just jaws...
Well, let's hit the other two terminals first.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was sorry. I was skipping those.
No, you're fine. Usually I would encourage that, but I want to kind of cover these a little bit since we managed to find them when we were going through it.
Okay, cool.
But there's two other Covenant ones that you can find as well. There's one that's a broadcast of Didact they were saying over and over again?
Yeah, so the Covenant are just sitting there chanting Didact, Didact, Didact. It's kind of like a religious chant.
It's like a beacon, and apparently it was broadcasting every 30 minutes over the past 3 years. So that's kind of interesting. We can get into that a little bit later too.
Well, I guess we can sum it up. I mean, like the Covies knew that Didact was on Requiem. They knew before the UNSC did. That's the big plot line of Thursday War is Jul Mdama. You see him in Spartan Ops. Him essentially gathering the storm and trying to find Requiem.
And that's part of the first terminal too.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah. I always forget about that terminal because they released that before the game. So I don't know. I never.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I always skip that one. I never include that one. I don't know why. That's stupid of me. But anyway, so they're just sitting there chanting Didact, trying to get Didact to open the door to Requiem. But Didact cannot be awoken by Covenant because if you remember, it was a reclaimer. It was the reclaimer symbol that would open Didact's chamber. So he needed a human. So hey, we're not going to let the Covenant in here because what the hell are they going to do? They're just going to break it, right? But anyway, as soon as Master Chief arrived, yeah, exactly. As soon as Master Chief arrived, he was like, "Oh, we have a reclaimer here. Interesting. Okay, sweet. Time for me to get out of this place. Let's let them all here. They can all come in. Here we go. Just make a big party here." So that was cool. And then there was the other terminal that was more religious banter. It was like like the Covenant were doing this little. They were speaking in Covenant language.
Yeah, it was like a.
Cortana was translating. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was like a poem or like a preaching of some kind.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. They use the word nigh a lot, so the end is nigh, the Forerunners are nigh, something like that, the Promethean. We had that little conversation about I don't know why the Covenant don't have their own word for Promethean, which it's a Greek word, so whatever.
Yeah, so
take
it. I mean, whatever. So now we can get on to the beautiful vista. So after you navigate through there, find your weapon that you want to pick up. If you look hard enough, you can find a couple BRs or a sniper rifle, a saw. There's carbines, plasma pistols, grenades, and whatnot. So after you venture through all that, you take a pretty decently sized walk all the way through this kind of canyon area, and then you get to probably one of the most beautiful points in Halo 4. And then this is
so cool. Whatever these big spire things are that are moving up and down. I don't know what they are or what they do.
I think
awesome.
aren't they supposed to be there to help keep the shell centered around the planet?
I might be. I don't know.
I thought that's what they were for.
I haven't looked into the mechanics of building a Dyson Sphere yet. So I mean I picked up Dyson Sphere for Dummies yesterday, so I mean I'll get onto it. But I mean that has been the top of my priorities. Actually, like it's a cool area. Like there's actually like some. If you zoom in, you can see. I wish I had the sniper rifle now. Damn it. If you zoom in with your glasses, with your binoculars, you
your
can
visor.
See like, some kind of your visor. Thank you. There's birds, some kind of weird birds in the background. I guess like those ones from Guardian, maybe. You know, like you remember the Halo 3 map Guardian? How
Those weird looking
dragon thingies.
Yeah.
Like I mean, as soon as you zoom in, all the textures go to shit because it's paintings. That's not like real geometry. But
right.
Like you see like waterfalls that are actually moving. Like they did like the art. They got like moving art. I don't know what that's called. But yeah, it's very, very cool. This is just such a pretty area. Like, I mean, I stopped when I was playing the game for the first time and just looked at those towers for like 5 minutes straight.
Well, if you guys remember the concept art too that they showed off for this, that's pretty much what that was. If you guys remember the Warthog was on the left and you had the pillars on the right, that's pretty much what that scene was.
Yeah, and it was so good to see. Yeah, you know what? This is the first place that I would show somebody who says that games aren't art. This is one of the first things I would take them to. I would say, all right, now you look at this and tell me that this isn't art. This is gorgeous. I mean, especially, I mean, like the fact that you have to have, excuse me, the fact that you have to have artists who do this on a 2D level, and then the 3D artists who have to make that a reality, that concept art into something real. I mean, like I don't know how often you ever get into this debate. I've gotten into this debate with people. Video games are an art form. They're among one of the best possible. They're a great method they're a unique method for delivering story as a medium. And this level right here, there are a couple of games that I would take people to show like, okay, this is art. Like Uncharted, that is art. I mean, Halo 4, this is just one of those areas where it's like, look at this. Now you tell me this isn't gorgeous.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, anyway, if anybody ever looks down at their nose at video games and says that video games aren't art, you quickly punch that person square in the nose. I have no.
I mean, it's an art form. It's a lot of different art forms put together. It's the art of storytelling. It's the art of making music. It's the art of.
I mean, yeah, everything. I mean,
graphics.
It is a combined art form. I mean,
and that's one of the challenging things about a video game like this is it's a whole bunch of different pieces coming together to make one big piece that's really, really, really good.
You know what? I don't know if we're ever going to reach a point like this with games. I mean, I guess the games industry is going to have to eclipse the movie industry in this way. I mean, like, video games already make more money than the movies and music industry combined, but that also doesn't help that video games are also worth, like, you know, for every $20 movie, you have a $60 video game title, so, I mean, that doesn't really count. But imagine the day where we are beyond, like, you know, 20 or 30 or $40 million video game titles. Like, your average video game costs anywhere from, like, 10 to, you know, $30 million to make. Halo, I mean, obviously your Halos and your Call of Duties and your Assassin's Creeds are a little bit different. Halo's, you know, closer to around 50 or 60 million. But think about those, like, I mean, when we get video game budgets that are bigger than movies, you know, I mean, like your average Hollywood blockbuster is $100 million budget or more. Like Skyfall, a movie that really didn't have any, like, crazy, you know, CG effects or anything like that.
Which I still haven't seen.
A great movie, but I mean, it's not like there's like any crazy CG or anything like that. That had a $200 million budget, right? I mean, that was, I mean, $200 million to make that movie. Great movie. Imagine when we start seeing video games like that. Imagine just like how the art will how it will shine.
I think the next console generation, that's really where it's going to blow up.
Well, I'd be interested to see how that works because Microsoft, I mean, this is definitely not in their plan for for level 2 of Halo 4 Requiem, so I'm sorry. But I mean, Microsoft has already put out job listings for, and this is not a typo, they actually said quadruple A titles. I'm not exactly certain how the dollar value works, but you know how you have like your single A titles, your double A titles, and then your triple A titles, you know, like your Halos, your Call of Duties, your Mass Effects, whatever. That is done based on, you know, how many people work on the game, you know, the budget, etc. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 is a AAA title? That's going to be probably one of the most expensive games ever made. What the hell is a quadruple A title? You know, I mean, how much? How much money does that cost? But at the same time, though, developers have already kind of come out and said, though, that developing for next gen isn't going to be as expensive because we've learned so many new things. So I really don't know. I really, really, really don't know.
I guess it'll yet to be seen until we have the Xbox finally in our hands this Christmas. The new one.
Hopefully this Christmas. I can't wait.
It'll come. I already saw an article that got posted last November. It says, "Be ready for the new Xbox coming this winter holiday season."
That's nothing official. I mean, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
But there's still room for there's still that 5% chance that it might not, because I don't know. I mean, this console cycle has been long overdue. Frankly, I mean, this is the longest console cycle ever. By the time the next Xbox comes out this November, Xbox 360 will be 8 years old. That is by 3 years the longest console cycle ever.
It's
interesting.
It's set precedences. So
yeah, we still get titles this late in the cycle that change the game. Like Halo 4 is gorgeous. Years and years and years and years later, and even though we have way better tech now, they're still able to produce such amazing games. So, but I've been wanting a new console for a very long time now, and I'm not a PC guy. I will be a PC guy soon. I bought a new computer, so I'm more of a console guy. But I bought a PC for work for some
nice.
for movie making stuff. I bought a very nice one that will be able to run Crysis 3 at maximum, but maximum Crysis 3. But I'm very interested to see where these new consoles are going.
It's going to be interesting. I'll say that much.
So I'm sitting here driving around Requiem, and one of the things I love is just the art style. The environment is that area where you get the warthog and you drive out and you have your first real engagement.
Yeah,
kind of looks like Mordor, I guess. I don't know, without lava. It's like the green. What Mordor would look like if
okay.
Sauron wasn't a big smoker and was a heavy smoker and he didn't set on fire and let everything grow. It's these big, sharp, craggy rocks. They look almost kind of menacing, but it's so gorgeous at the same time. The art style in this game is really truly brilliant.
Yeah, it's really pretty, especially when you look at the Infinity level, the 4th mission. That has some pretty stuff in it too. All the forest stuff.
Yeah, that actually, you know what? The prettiest moment in the entire game, I think, it was in a cutscene, admittedly, so it doesn't count. The moment here in Requiem where you walk out and you see the pillars, those are the best in-game moments. I think the best cutscene moment we got out of Halo 4 was the level Composer. Where you see Master Chief in space, and he's looking at Halo.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, that cutscene shines.
That was pretty. There are a lot of pretty cutscenes.
Now imagine if we can get that in game. That's all. That is what I want.
That was rendered in game, right?
Yeah, but you're not playing it though. that's
that's true. That's true.
Even though they all come from, it's not rendered from in game. It comes from in engine, but it's not from in game. So
okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know the technical term behind it. Maybe somebody in the audience is smart enough to tell us. But there's differences in how it's done.
Right.
And I imagine the game natively looking that good. That'd be sweet. So right now I'm sitting here just doing the playthrough right now. I'm going through the tunnel and
So before you get too far, I do want to mention the achievement because I think you already passed that up. But as you're doing your jumps, going through all the wreckage, there's an achievement that you get, and this one's a little specific. Some people will usually kind of set up this scenario so they can get it, but the achievement is called Midnight Launch, and it's for 20 gamer score, and what you have to do is do a decently sized warthog jump. If you do any one of the big jumps that you do when you're going through all the wreckage, it's fine, but it has to be at midnight, so your clock on your Xbox has to say 12 a.m.
I think it gives you a little bit of leeway, because it did for me. Mine was 12:02, and it was okay, you can have it.
Okay.
I think it gives you a slight amount of leeway. People have been resetting their Xbox internal clocks to do that. I
waited. I actually waited.
Yeah, I was about to say, if your bedtime is 9 o'clock, then by all means go ahead and do that. But just stay up and do the damn thing.
Yeah. So it's
you know what? I am 100% against that achievement because that is a stupid achievement.
it is. It really is.
Terrible achievement.
That was one of the achievements. I'm like, really?
You know what though? At least I have that one. Like I will take that achievement any day of the week over those damn multiplayer achievements they just added. Ugh.
Well, I still hate the ones from Halo 3.
You know what? I kind of like the ones from Halo 3. Like I will take. I realize that there's some
The 2-for-1 laser kill.
No, I was just about to say that's the exception, right? That and the Mongoose one are the two exceptions. But like a majority of Halo 3's multiplayer achievements were like get an overkill, get a perfection, get a running riot. Done. All right, what's next?
I don't think perfection was one of them because I've never gotten the perfection in Halo 3.
You sure?
Yep.
I'm pretty certain there's an achievement for perfection.
Nope. I don't think so.
Okay, well maybe not. But anyway, whatever. The point is they were still.
Oh no! One of the DLCs had a perfection.
Yeah. I'll count that. That's what I'm.
Well,
that was what I meant by multiplayer achievements.
Okay. I kind of boosted for that one with friends.
Oh, okay. So those of us who aren't cheaters got that legitimately, and
it was semi-legitimate. Like we were actually playing. It's just focusing on making sure I didn't die.
Of course, I'm certain. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, so moving on. So
that midnight launch achievement is not tough to get. It's just annoying.
Right. But after you get that achievement, you come up on your first set of enemies. There are 3 sniper towers kind of scattered out in this open area with kind of rocks that stick up everywhere. So your first group of Covenant is off a little bit to your left as you come out, and then there's another one that's up on a rock face over on the right-hand side. And then after you take those out, there's some grunts in the middle with some ghosts that are laying on the ground. And then all the way in the back where you continue your trek on through the mission is another sniper tower, and you take out those enemies as well. And this area doesn't take too long unless you're on Legendary. It could take a while just to make sure you get all the Jackal snipers and everything else that's going to try to shoot you. But if you're playing co-op, definitely use the Warthog because it will suit your playing ability very handily, and it will help you get rid of the enemies really quickly.
On Legendary, I just parked up the Warthog and just took everything out.
Yeah, and that's good too. Although you do have to kind of watch out for the fuel rod grunts because they will shoot. They actually have quite a bit of range. I found when I was
but they're super slow though, and like you typically have enough time to dodge them. If you park up in the right spot, you're fine. I'm a little bit ahead right now. I skipped ahead to the.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I just got like my camouflage unit, which.
Oh, you're really far ahead.
I'm not too far ahead. I'm just past like the main engagement. There aren't many engagements in this level.
No, there's not. This level's kind of one of the short levels. Although we have been rambling a little bit.
Blame you for that. You get off topic about books and sexism and stuff like that. I mean, you gotta stop this. What's wrong with you?
Okay, well, we'll move on then. After you take out all the enemies in that first area, there is in that third area with the sniper tower, there is one of the elites that's up on the next rock face that you have to go to. He does have a concussion rifle, so if you're on Legendary, he will kind of toss you around a little bit if you're not careful. So after you take him out, you go up a further walkway. If you're playing anything on, I think, Heroic or Legendary, one of the grunts that you'll run into as you're walking up the path is a fuel rod grunt. I think there may be 2 of them, actually. So just be careful as you're walking up, because once you turn that corner, there have been times where at least I've instantly blown up. So one of the things I recommend is if you're sprinting, as you turn the corner, jump so that first set of fuel rods miss you, and then just pull out your pistol or whatever precision weapon you have and headshot all the grunts.
You be a boss and charge them headlong too, like I do.
Or you can do that.
Be a boss.
If you want. But after you do that, you come up on your second engagement of Covenant. And this one is somewhat familiar, as you will, if you've played Spartan Ups, you will recognize the area that you're playing in. If you guys remember the map The Gate, this is actually where that map comes from, is this section of the campaign right here. So you have a couple elites that are on the ground level, a few grunts and everything. There are some assault rifle ammo, and I think a Covenant weapon crate over to the right-hand side as you first enter the area, so you can replenish any ammo you need from there. Pick either side of the tower to go up on. I think most people choose the right side whenever they go up. I don't know if I think that's just natural tendency, but you can go over to the left side if you want, and there's actually a path up the rocks on the front left hand side. I think you can jump up. I think that geography is there in the campaign like it is in the Spartan Ops, so you can jump up that way. And there is a camo elite when you get to the very top, so make sure you keep an eye out for any glimmers that you may see. And then after you take out all the enemies in that area, the camo, and once you kill the camo elite, he'll drop his camo pack. And this is actually an interesting part of the campaign where they actually introduce you to armor abilities. So up to this point, you don't have any, and this is the first time you actually see kind of armor ability integrated into the storyline.
Which is pretty sweet. I like how that's... We were talking about this earlier. I like how that is part of the story. It's like, oh, this is a real thing on Master Chief's back. Whereas in Halo Reach, it was just kind of like, it was just a gameplay component. There was never really any story to it. It was just like, I mean, I always found it to be very odd in Halo Reach where, Spartans are supposed to be an incredibly rare thing to see on the battlefield, right? Like, most Marines never, ever see a Spartan ever in their lives, right? I mean, they're just so rare.
Well, isn't the only time that they even reference using an armor ability is when you're on Exodus and one of the jetpack is the only thing that they even reference, and that's because they're using them. But I always thought that was so weird. Is like you see like these ammo caches in Reach, and it's like, oh, there is an armor ability as well. It's like that. All right, that's a little odd. It's like, oh, hey, this Spartan in a full suit of Mjolnir armor just happened to come by. Well, that's good because we had these damn armor abilities that we weren't using. So hey, this works. Yeah.
But,
so this was a nice, like, gentle introduction into what an armor ability kind of is.
Yeah. I mean, I got this thing with armor abilities in Halo Reach, though. If it's not thruster, then get out. I don't want to. Thruster, like, thruster's such a fun armor ability. I love it. And there is nothing more fun in Halo 4 than playing the level Composer and getting the thruster on the ship and thrusting around hunters. My God, that is like the highlight of that level gameplay wise for me. That was so much fun.
So yeah, but that's one of the nice little things about the Halo 4 campaign that at least you brought up, and I kind of agreed that it was a nice gentle way of introducing it instead of just like dropping it in there like it was for Halo Reach.
Yeah, I mean it was subtle. It was just a nice subtle little gameplay maneuver. So where I've kind of gone up a little bit here. I did the thing where you split off and do the the shield drainers that activate.
Yeah, so the next part that you come into after you go through this tower is you get to this open kind of atrium area, and you actually see sentinels for the first time in the game.
Pretty cool.
And they're actually friendly sentinels. You don't have to actually shoot at them. They will kind of work with you, and later on in the level they actually do work for you. Not directly, but indirectly. What you have to do in here is you have to go to what looks like a pedestal for kind of like a map of Requiem. So you go up to it, you plug Cortana in, and she reads some of the data off of it. It's like, this planet is designated Requiem, and then she tries to kind of dig deeper into the pedestal, and then it flashes red, and you actually get a small glimpse of the Didact symbol.
That's actually another interesting thing. Like how the elites don't have their own word for Promethean. Mm-hmm. Requiem's another word. It's like, oh, they had the exact same word for this as we did. There's no translation. It's the word. Interesting. All right.
Huh. Sounds like there's a few plot holes.
Well, you know what? I don't want to call that a plot hole because, I mean, there's a very easy solution to this, even though I'm just coming up with this just off the top of my head. The solution is that when the Forerunners, when they changed humans' genes, that could have been one of the things that they influenced. Is they could have known, language. They could have known, 100,000 years from now, you will be speaking this I mean, who knows? English could be the language that the humans are speaking 100,000 years ago in the terminals. Who knows? It could be the exact same language, and the Forerunners were like, you know what? We're just going to keep this in your latent genes that your language will evolve as such. Yeah, who knows? I mean, that's just I'm just off the top of my head. I'm like, okay, there's an excuse.
No, I can accept that.
Yeah, totally.
Anyways, after you activate the map the first time, since it shuts down, Cortana basically says that she detects two different data streams that are kind of filtering data into this pedestal. So if you're playing co-op, you can split off and do both of them at the same time. But if you're playing solo, you go off to one side, you hit a button to activate a bridge, then you hit another button to disrupt the whatever power data stream that's there, and your shields actually flare off as if they were discharged, and Cortana has a reason for that, is that it's just reacting to the ferromagnetic properties of the data stream. Kind
of Halo 1-esque.
Yeah, very Halo 1-esque. After that switch, you go back out into the main atrium. There's some Covenant that start to go down, but if you're quick enough, you can just run straight over to the other side without having to interact with them. Do the same thing for the second side, and then you have to worry about the Covenant. There are some weapon crates scattered throughout that have Covenant weapons in them. If you're on the right side of the atrium, so when you first come in, if you're end up on the right side, there is a weapon crate over there with carbine ammo, and there's another crate over there with needlers. So I would suggest going to the left side first, and then running over to the right side, and then coming out on the right-hand side, and you can pick up the weapons from those ammo crates. After you take out all the Covenant, well, I found that you don't have to take out all of them. You definitely have to take out all the elites, but if you leave a couple of jackals left over, I think the game is okay with it. After you do that, you plug Cortana back in, and then there's this whole elongated cutscene sequence where she's trying to figure out where this transmission is coming from, and you see a whole bunch of different transmission symbols come up, and then it's immediately clears up after a certain point, and then it says it's in the middle of Requiem. Well, if you've played the campaign, you know what's there, so you obviously know what's kind of leading them onwards. Because after Master Chief pulls Cortana out and starts walking off, you see the Didact symbol flash behind them, so you obviously know that he's influencing their trek into Requiem.
You know what? My favorite thing about that cutscene, this is going to sound a little weird, but the Master Chief animation that they did. So Halo 4 did something really amazing that I think was honestly maybe even the biggest success of the entire game, was the way they did all of their motion capturing animations. And essentially each, Master Chief and Cortana and such, they have their own, body actor, their own motion capture actor. And Bruce Thomas is the guy who plays Master Chief. And he does such a good job of just moving the way Master Chief would. If you read the books, Spartans, they move very elegantly, whenever they're in combat. But at the same time, though, they're supposed to be a little, they're
big and bulky.
Well, not necessarily, because, it's proportionate to their body, right? It's just that they move so much faster than a normal human that it looks awkward to an extent. But at the same time, though, he makes it look very smooth, very elegant, but very forceful, though. And he does an awesome job. Bruce Thomas, very talented guy. He made Master Chief come alive in this. I think that is a big thing that we're going to be seeing in a lot of next-gen titles, is most video games will finally start adapting this model of where we're just going to motion capture everything because it looks so much better. Compare this cutscene to, Halo. Halo Reach had some mocap, and a lot of it was, but not all of it. But directly compare Halo 4's movements just to the Halo 3's cutscene movements, right? Just the way they move looks so much better.
It does look a lot smoother, yeah.
Maybe I'm just the oddball here. That is just the thing that stuck out to me, was wow, just him moving, just the way he's walking, it looks great. That thing where he reaches up to plug Cortana out of his head, it just looks awesome. It's such a good job with the animations in this game. Really good.
I have to pay attention to that next time.
Yeah, dude. It's essentially even the gameplay animations were. I think maybe the assassinations probably weren't, because those would be pretty tough to do.
Well, but, it did look like it. Just from thinking about it, it does seem like the body motions for the Master Chief in Halo 4 is a lot smoother than it was in past Halo games.
The best example I can ever give you is watch the scene in Halo 2 or Halo 3 whenever Master Chief is sprinting in a cutscene. That part in Halo 2 where the you just finish killing Truth and they start glassing.
Yeah.
Not Truth. What's his name?
Regret.
Yeah, you just finished killing Regret, and how herky jerky his running is. It looks stupid. And Halo 3 does the exact same thing. There's a sequence in that where you're running, and it just looks awful.
Well, I wonder if that's the difference just because of the mocap that they're using for Halo 4.
Yeah, that is the difference, exactly, is that they're using a real actor, a real person is doing these movements. It's not an animator trying to guess what it looks like. This is the...
And it looks a lot smoother.
Yeah, exactly. It brings a lot more humanity to the acting in general. And it really, it's a big deal. I think it's a really awesome thing. It is a real person who is doing these movements. I think it's very cool. Yeah, you can see that in every one of the cutscenes. I mean, just like next time. I mean, I look for stuff like that because I make movies and I do some stuff along those lines. So I mean, I'm always looking for stuff like that, right? But next time you're watching a cutscene, just watch wow. Compare this to your favorite other video game, right? To any video game that you have, and sit there and think, man, dude, does this look like? I mean, do any other games have this level of animation? Like Uncharted and God of War are like the only two others I can think of that are even anywhere near this degree. Like I think Uncharted's slightly better.
Okay.
But man, the animations are just the motion capture is just solid. They nailed it.
All right.
But so where are you right now? Are you doing simultaneous gameplay? As well, I guess you have to be able to sit there and.
No,
listen.
I'm actually just running through this off memory.
Really, that's nuts, man. Awesome.
Yeah. So after the map room.
Arrows area right now.
Yeah. So that's the area right after the map room. So after the map room, you actually you walk through into this room, and there's some weird, funky beam structure that we're not sure what exactly is going on. It's just a re-entry point back into the campaign, though, after the cutscene. So you walk out the door, and then you're on this platform, and below you is, like Brian just said, kind of a Narrows-like bridge that spans across this big canyon. And this is another one, kind of those pretty moments, I think, in the game, where you just have the lighting effect that of the sun from Requiem that's kind of shining into the canyon, but shining at you, so you kind of have a lens flare, and it's kind of hard to see all the enemies on the bridge, just kind of like you would in normal life. The only qualm
laser beam out in the distance. It's like it's pulsing. I don't know what it is. I'm looking into that now.
Okay. Anyways,
I'm
sorry.
Yeah.
The only qualm I have with that though is that like canonically the visor is supposed to kind of help like polarize and kind of filter out that light. So I mean that's the one qualm I have with it, because when you're down there, if you take the elevator down immediately, you'll be dumped right into the middle of jackals and grunts. So it's a good idea to take them out while you're on top of the bridge. You can actually go to one of the sides and shoot down and take most of them out. But as you make your way down, once you start walking up the bridge, it's just the sun is glaring in your eyes, and it's hard to see some of the enemies sometimes.
Do not give 343 any ideas. If my screen starts polarizing, getting darker and lighter, like just in random intervals, I will be pissed.
Well, it's more like
hang on, SG, put on your shades real quick. Like, no, damn it, no.
I mean, they do a good job, because at the beginning of it, when you walk up to that first part where you get that beautiful vista, the light from that tunnel it's purely like white. Like they transitioned it very well. It's just that for here, the light washes out a lot of the shapes that the enemies have, so it's hard to see them. And you would think that.
I guess I don't necessarily. Yeah, I mean I can see it. There's some odd, like I know that is a complaint that I've heard. It doesn't necessarily bother me so much. I'm kind of cool with it, but yeah, I mean,
it's a small complaint, but it's still something.
I can see how you wouldn't like it.
Yeah. But
I'm just flying around in that Banshee right now. I don't know, like there's this big like pulsating laser beam in the background, and I kind of want to know what it is.
Oh, is it off in the distance?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's kind of like, man, another Lord of the Rings.
I don't think you can get there though.
Kind of looks like another Lord of the Rings reference coming up here. Kind of looks like the Eye of Sauron, just like hanging up at the top of that tower.
Oh boy.
He's just chilling. He's just chilling.
So the part that he's at is after you get about halfway across the bridge, there's a gap in the top section of the bridge, so you actually have to drop down, walk across, and there's a Banshee sitting on the other side of that gap in the bridge. At this point, you've gone through about 3 different groups of Covenant, and then there's a Phantom there that's actually going to drop another group of Covenant, mostly grunts. I think one of them is in the lead as well. If you're fast enough, you can get up to the Banshee before the Phantom actually drops its kind of full payload, and then take the Banshee out, get rid of the rest of the Banshees. There's 2 other Banshees in the area, so take them out with the fuel rod gun or just the regular plasma cannons on the Banshee, and then just go to work on the other ones, just kind of doing your flybys with the fuel rod or the plasma cannons if you need to.
Dude, you're not going to believe this. I just got splattered again by that damn ghost, that same one that gave me some crap earlier.
Oh, boy.
Kidding me?
So after you take out most of the enemies in that section, I find you don't have to take out all of them. You just have to take out a good majority of them before you get to the door, because there will be 1 elite left and maybe a couple of jackals, but if you position your Banshee in such a way, and if you get rid of enough enemies, you can just hop out and then run through the door, and you can leave some of the enemies behind without having to clean up every single one. And that'll lead you into...
Sorry, this is a weird thing to point out. There's a shotgun laying back there. And if you're like me, you think the shotgun should have been in this game significantly more, go get that shotgun. I love the Halo 4 shotgun. It is
Where's
so
the shotgun?
It's on the bridge. There's like a shotgun and a rocket launcher. If you're playing it on a higher
there's a rocket launcher. Did you find the rocket launcher?
Yeah, it's like midway on the bridge. Yeah.
Oh, is it underneath?
No, it's on the top. If you're playing a higher difficulty, you're probably gonna want that. Like, if you're playing legendary, the shotgun is not. Don't get the shotgun. It's useless.
Right.
But if you're get that rocket launcher for sure. But if you're just playing just like a fun, just average difficulty,
I have to find that
shotgun.
I'll have to point that out in the video run through.
Yeah, the shotgun is super awesome. I love the sound. I love the animation for it. I love the redesign. It looks great. I don't know why. Like, I normally hate shotguns. Like, if you use a shotgun on me in multiplayer, that's when I get a little bit pissed. But
okay. Note to self.
Yeah.
So after the bridge part, you get to your final area, and this is kind of a little bit more open with a kind of a pavilion structure in the middle, and then you have 2 turrets on the right and the left, or one on the right, one on the left, and then you have 2 ghosts that'll come and just peck at you with their
they'll
plasma
do a little
cannons.
bit more than peck at you. They make everything you're doing their business, and they do their damnedest to make sure that.
And one of the things in here is that once you go through that door, you're pretty much stuck. So you have to take out the ghost quickly, or there's actually a weapon crate over to the left-hand side.
Actually, both the left and the right.
And okay,
if you go to the right side, there's a rocket launcher and a saw with like 2 magazines or drum.
Cool.
I guess that's called a drum. I'm sorry, I'm calling this all wrong here. And then there's like an assault
magazine,
rifle.
drum, close.
Yeah. And there's a pistol and an assault rifle over here if you go to the right, and then if you go to the left, that's where all the saws are that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you can rocket launcher with a handful of ammo.
Yeah. So pick your poison. If you're doing it, I think on heroic or legendary, on the right hand side there will be a beam rifle jackal. So watch out for him.
Ooh, actually, you know what, dude? There's a rocket launcher on the left side too. If you keep on going up, there's like another crate up there. So there's just like, if you go to the left, there's the same amount of rocket launcher ammo.
How did I miss these rocket launchers before?
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I didn't know this either. So essentially, there's like 8 rockets just in this little courtyard here, and a bunch of saws. But if you go to the I know, like, we're sitting here saying, like, if you go to the left or the right, you're like, well, why don't I go both? Well, when you're being shot at on a higher difficulty, your decision making is a big deal. Like, I'm just playing on easy right now just because we're just running through it.
Right.
But, if you go to I'd recommend going to the left just because, you got a rocket launcher there and you have way more saw ammo. Definitely go that way.
Alrighty then.
Pretty sweet.
So, pick a direction of which way you want to go, and then you'll eventually have to take out the enemies on the other side and take out the enemies that are in the middle. There's, I think on both sides there's 2 grunts and 2 jackals, and then in the middle there's 2 or 3 jackals, a grunt, and an elite. So take all of those guys out, and then you'll run under the big structure that's in the middle, and then run up and back around. There's a group of grunts that you'll take out, and then there's a sword elite that'll charge you once you get up to that 2nd level. So that would be a good time to use the noob combo if you have the weapons to do that, or take the saw out.
Rocket launcher or something, yeah.
Yeah, or the saw or the rocket launcher. I didn't know about those before, so I'd use the noob combo. But yeah, take a rocket launcher or a saw into it, and you're set in business. Then you have another choice to choose left or right again, and you can. I don't really find an advantage to doing one side over another. You get the same amount of enemies.
I actually just went the left for the first time ever. Like, I always just normally just go to the right. I'm right-handed. I don't know why I just go to the right?
Yeah, I've gone to the
exact same amount of enemies. That they have the same ammo, they have the same equipment, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter which side you go on. It's just a matter of preference. I think I found that I go to the right most of the time too, and I've found that sometimes if you're doing co-op, you can choose both ways. You can split up if you want to, and the enemies will appear on both sides. But if you go up one side as a whole party, or if you're playing solo, then it's just those sides of enemies will spawn. The other side won't spawn any enemies, so you don't have to worry about the extra enemies to deal with there.
Yeah. So as soon as you get up here, though, there's going to be a couple of elites here. The big thing is, I have a rocket launcher right now because I'm playing on easy. But if you're playing on legendary, there is an ammo crate here with 2 fuel rod guns, and right the level above you are 2 hunters. Boy, those come in handy.
Yes. Well, I mean, if you're playing on Legendary too, not all those fuel rods will take them out. Like you still have to put additional firepower into it, or at least I've found that's the case whenever I'm playing.
I'm sitting here messing with this hunter right now. I'm using the hard light shield, and I'm like trying to compare our shields because like like how he'll sit there and smash you with his shield. The hard light shield can deflect his shield, no problem.
Well, I wonder if that's just a difficulty thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like I figured there'd be like a physics issue with it though, because like if you get hit by the shield when you're not using hard light shield, like when that hunter hits you, he sends you flying, right? Okay, there we go. That finally did damage for the first time, but it did not have the same physical impact. So hard light shield might be able to deflect the hunter shield. I don't know. I'm just sitting here just messing around with this.
Okay.
Never actually tried to do that before.
All right. But yeah, after you take out those hunters, this is actually where you'll see the sentinels helping you and shooting their laser beams at the hunters, although they kind of really don't do much. But definitely pick up the fuel rod guns. If you're doing it with a buddy, you can definitely angle or corner hunter with the fuel rods and take them out pretty quickly. There's definitely going to be a lot of plasma grenades too from all the Covenant that you've killed, so go around, pick those up, and stick those to the hunters, and it'll be the extra firepower that you need if you're doing it on Legendary to take them out. After you're done with that, you go into this big chamber, and this is where you actually find your first domain terminal. Or technically your first domain terminal throughout the Halo 4 campaign. And this is the one that, if you were paying attention to all the news for Halo 4 when it was coming out, this is the one that you actually saw. This is the Jewel Umdama terminal. And it actually has an achievement with it. If this is the first one that you found, which probably is, and the achievement for that is called Contact the Domain. It's worth 10 gamer score. And it's, of course, for finding a terminal in the campaign. The terminal itself is underneath the ramp that goes up to the elevator in this chamber. So before going up the ramp, go underneath it, and it's right there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm just I'm hopping onto the elevator thing that it gives you now. I love how it goes from the this green and gray environment that's outside, green, blue, and gray that's outside, and then it goes into the pale gray, blue, and orange Forerunner colors.
Yeah.
Actually, I think this is the end of the level because
it is.
It's cutscene. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the end. This is where you walk out on the platform, and you're gonna plug Cortana into a console, and she's gonna try to figure out how to get a portal to the center of the planet, and then she says that she's reading data streams. And here she says that something's not making sense, and then you see your first encounter with Knights. Yep.
But, man, I'm just sitting here watching this right now. All I'm looking at, those animations, that walking animation, so good. that I don't know why. I can't be the only person in the world that looks for this stuff. But this is just a marvel to me, just how good this looks. Just the animations of it all, just walking, the turning, because this is, I don't want to start a fanboy war or anything because I like Xbox better, but PlayStation seems to me to be the only console that really goes to vast efforts to make sure this kind of stuff looks this good, right? It just seems to be. I mean, Halo and Gears of War are the two things Xbox has at this point, but you normally only see this kind of stuff out of Uncharted or Gears of War or God of War. So good to see Halo doing this level of animation. Just it looks so damn good, and just looking, Cortana looks great. Just the movements, her face, everything. Just they do good. They do really, really good.
I think they'd be happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're listening in on this.
Frankie, you did a really good job. Now, listen. I mean, you're gonna have to make this happen. Now, you're gonna have to get me a date with Mackenzie Mason. She's the body actress for Cortana. I'm not gonna lie. Flubbed it the first time I talked to her. So, do over.
Okay. I'll let him make that determination because I'm pretty sure I don't have any leeway in that.
You don't have any authority on that?
I'm afraid I don't. Sorry.
Huh. All right. Yeah. Give me your supervisor, please. Anyway. But yeah. So that's pretty cool. End of the level there, where Chief has to jump through that portal. Here's the thing. The thing about this though is they're very surprised when they see the Knights. What were they expecting? What were they honestly expecting? Hey, we're on this Forerunner planet. Huh. Something showed up to defend it? Well, that's weird. I didn't expect that.
I don't know if it was necessarily like that. It was just more or less it was a new thing, and
It was scary. It was new. It was scary. They did a very good introduction for him. Actually.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was just one of those things where it was like, huh? So you're telling me there might be inhabitants on this planet? That's weird.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. But yeah, so that was a fun level. That is probably the prettiest level in all of Halo 4.
Yeah, definitely one of the it definitely shows off the art style of Halo 4.
Like gameplay wise, it's pretty like I don't want to say bland, but it's very standard. You know, I mean, it's just
like it's good, but it's nothing like substantially different.
It is 100% an infantry level. It is meant pure. I guess you get the Warthog. I guess so. Like you're only fighting just ground forces. You know, just ghosts.
You're still early on in the campaign though, so that kind of makes sense.
It's one of those things where it's barely introducing you to these elements. I guess it's like, okay, so the first level we're gonna give you nothing but ground troops. The second level we're gonna throw in a couple of vehicles, none of the major vehicles, but like just enough to like kind of get you just used to it. You know, and we're going to give you a lot more Covenant weapons so you can know, like, hey, that you should probably start picking these things up and start using these. And stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, it's still very early into the game. It's still very much an introductory level.
Yep.
But it's fun. It's a
good level. Good level.
Yeah, it's decent for what it is. Probably my least favorite level out of the bunch, just because it's stuff that we've already done before, but it's definitely
fair enough
level. In terms of gameplay, it's my least favorite, but it is the prettiest level of the thing.
I'll agree to that.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our second episode of our Spartan Ops coverage for Halo 4. Last time we talked about the first episode, which was called Departure, and this time we are back with HaloFanForLife to talk about the second episode, Artifact.
How you doing?
Doing great. So, we are steamrolling right through these here, and we are going to be talking about the next episode. So we finally got the groundwork laid out on our first episode, kind of an introduction to what Spartan Ops is, kind of seeing where the firefight inspiration is for some of these things, and just overall how the storyline ties in with the rest of the campaign. So it is going to be really interesting to see from here on out how the story evolves, because I think after the first episode, they're really going to start focusing on the main story of what Spartan Ops is actually supposed to be for. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we know what happens in these first 5 episodes, and the story definitely gets more interesting as it goes along. And this one here brings in something that ends up making a major impact, along the way.
Yeah, big story plots start to really develop in this episode. So we ended off the last episode seeing that Fire Team Crimson, which is you guys that are playing, or everyone that's playing Spartan Ops, was able to recover the Forerunner artifact and get it ready for extraction. We go to the CGI cutscene now, and we see Fireteam Majestic being under fire by some Promethean crawlers and watchers, and they catch a break for a second, and then they immediately get jumped by Promethean knights. And then Hoya decides to go be heroic and takes his shotgun, tries to go take out a few knights, and decides to kind of get himself in some trouble.
He was very much like Emil from Reach in that scene.
Yes, very, very much so. Wouldn't be surprised if those two were related. Yeah. So after he kind of charges out, the rest of Team Majestic is like trying to hold him back and say, no, don't go out there. And then we get an immediate cut to the Pelican evacing from Requiem back to Infinity. And when they get there, Commander Palmer's like, what happened to Hoya? And then DeMarco's like, Hoya happened to Hoya. So, not too happy with what happened down on Requiem, but she orders them to go to the armor bay and get out of their armor. But Gabe is standing to the side, kind of unfazed of what happened, and then Spartan Palmer kind of walks over to him and he asks her what the strange artifact was that got brought back, that your team brought back. So she kind of goes into a vague understanding of what she thinks it is, some Forerunner artifact that the Covenant were trying to dig up, and you have no idea what it is. But during that whole little ordeal, there's some scientists that are kind of just hovering around it, and they start poking and prodding at it, and then it suddenly just decides to activate. And this big kind of electrical...
Energy blast.
Something or other.
Energy wave or something.
Wave, yeah, I think wave is appropriate. It starts to spread all across the ship, and you see everyone kind of jumping in shock in the airlock, and then you see a shot of Captain Lasky as it's going over the command deck, and then it's spreading throughout the rest of the ship, and everything is starting to lose power. All the systems are starting to go offline. Roland's trying to figure out what's going out, and then Lasky radios to Dr. Glassman, who will play an integral part in Spartan Ops throughout this season, saying that all the ship's losing power, and he says he knows, and is trying to get everything to work, and the ship starts to fall towards Requiem into the gravity well, and then Spartan Palmer decides to take matters into her own hand and just decides to give it a firm kick.
Yeah.
And then so I guess one thing I should have mentioned is that all the gravity generators went offline, so Spartan Palmer has her magnetic boots turned on, so she kicks it, and then all the gravity generators come back on, and all the power comes back on, so everyone's like falling to the deck, and all the cargo containers that were floating falls to the deck. And you see the engines turn on, and then they are able to navigate out of the gravity well.
Now, what's kind of cool, going back just a little bit in that, if you listen to Roland when Lasky's talking to Roland, Roland is talking about how the ship is losing power, but there's a quick little stutter in there where it's as if Roland himself is losing power. So that was kind of cool if you pick up on that. And then moving towards Glassman, Glassman mentions how, you put Forerunner technology in the ship that was essentially put in by a war criminal who we later come to find out is Catherine Halsey. And he's like, basically, what do you expect's going to happen, So that was kind of interesting to see all that kind of take part. And then as future episodes happen, we'll see how more of that comes into play.
I was going to save the Catherine Halsey bit, but okay. I was going to save it for the next episode when she gets brought on board. But yeah, so and that whole Forerunner thing is going to allude to something later along the season as well. In one of these upcoming episodes that have actually already come out. If you've played it already, you know what we're talking about. If not, then you're definitely in for a treat. So everything is hunky-dory for now, and then Glassman comes down to take a look at the artifact, and he walks around it for a little bit, touches the energy barrier that's kind of protecting it, then after a while kind of puts his hand on there, and you start to see the same kind of wave pattern that was spread all over the ship when the device activated. And then you see Glassman pretty much pulled into this artifact, being essentially dissolved or disintegrated. Mm-hmm. And Captain Lasky tries to rescue him by holding him out, but Palmer does kind of the smart thing and pushes him out of the way so he doesn't get caught in the thing. And then you see Dr. Glassman be kind of sucked into this thing. Yeah. We're not sure if he's dead or he's composed or what's happened to him at this point.
Now, don't you think that probably hurt Lasky? Not that Glassman got taken away, but getting tackled by Palmer, who's wearing her armor, that probably hurt a little bit,
Well, I would have to think with how much control they have over their armor, and I mean with the training that they have, that they've probably figured out a way to not cause too much bodily harm to people if they're interacting with civilians or other military personnel.
Well, I hope so.
So I don't think that's too much of a problem.
Still, I don't think I'd want to get tackled by one even in that case.
Probably not, no. So that leads us into our first chapter for episode 2. And this one is titled Cleanup. And for this one, the Marine forces have failed to neutralize a Covenant stronghold and are requesting Spartan assistance. The map is on the gate, and your objective is to clear the area of enemy forces.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, pretty straightforward indeed. I would say probably one of the most straightforward objectives you can get. So for what you're going to be doing in this one is there's some Promethean anti-air that has been set up by the Prometheans and the Covenant, and what you're going to be doing is going in and neutralizing those anti-air guns. So as Fireteam Crimson, you are going to be kind of dropped off a little far away from this structure or tower, so you will, where these anti-air are pretty much being mounted. Of course, these anti-air guns are causing problems for all the air traffic the UNSC has on Requiem. So, one of the reasons to take these out is so the UNSC can resume its normal day-to-day operations on Requiem, whatever day-to-day operations means for them for this kind of situation. So after you eliminate the first round,
can we back up just 1 second?
Yes.
Just a recommendation here. Because of what's on the map, I highly recommend a long-range weapon, be that a DMR, BR, carbine. Bear in mind that the weapons caches here are pretty much Covenant and Promethean, so you're not going to get much in the way of a resupply for your UNSC weapons. If you want to take them at first, that's fine, but just realize you're probably going to have to switch those out sometime during the mission. However, if you start with a Covenant weapon like a carbine, for instance, then when you go to walk up to one of those weapons caches, it's going to automatically drop into your weapon, so you don't have to worry about picking up another weapon and then reloading. This way, you just pretty much have to reload. So that's what I recommend. I usually go in with a carbine and a BR.
Okay. I usually just do my standard loadout of what I do in war games, and then once I get up to the tower, I swap out. Because by the time you're up there, if you die and respawn, there's going to be plenty of needlers and carbines just sitting on the ground for you to pick up.
Absolutely.
So, but like you said, definitely the weapons on this map are very Covenant heavy, with the weapon crates on the second tier of the tower being exclusively Covenant, and then all the Prometheans that you fight on this map as well. So the first set of enemies that you have to fight off as you're making your way up the tower is, of course, Covenant of all varieties, elites, grunts, and jackals. And once you get to the top and clear out all the Covenant there, you're going to get 2 waypoints from Infinity of where pretty much the control towers are for the anti-air guns. If you're playing co-op, it's best to split up and have one person get one tower and one person get the other. If you have 3 or more people, leave that third and fourth person up top so they can cover you when the Watchers come down and start to spawn crawlers and the turrets. So one of the big things on this map is that you will have 4 different Promethean turrets be spawning. And it's best if you can take out the Watchers that spawn them, take them out quickly so you don't have to worry about those turrets at all.
Which is definitely possible.
Yes, it is. Granted, most of the time you won't get every single Watcher that spawns a turret, but if you can get most of them out, it will make your mission go a lot quicker and smoother. So after you deactivate the conduits, just make sure you watch out for all the Promethean Watchers and the crawlers and turrets that they spawn. You'll take out both towers, and the slip space portal will be activated near the top. That will start to pour out the Prometheans there, and after a while, you will have some weaponry dropped out where you initially spawned. You get, I believe, 2 rocket launchers, a railgun, and a saw. That's right. So those are ordnance drops that you get, and that's the point where knights will start to spawn in. And they will spawn in as you try to go run for those power weapons. So it's important to make sure that you get there safely so you can get those power weapons, but get there quickly. There is a little time that you can spare when you see a knight spawning in, that you can grab a weapon and then pretty much start shooting at it before they have a chance to start shooting you. There's about a 3-second window there that you have grace for as they're kind of spawning in that you can use.
And I highly recommend that you wipe out any of those Watchers so that they're not respawning, their buddies there. You don't want them to respawn the knights that you just killed, because that's just going to make the mission harder.
Right. And that pretty much goes for every mission. Any mission that has Watchers and Knights on it, take out the Watchers first.
And if anything, if you're playing 2 people, just take out however, you can. But if you're playing at least 4 people, then I would say, assign 2 people to Watchers and then the other 2 people can clean up the rest. If you're going into matchmaking and you're playing with randoms, then it probably behooves you upon yourself to take out the Watchers first.
Uh-huh. So just task appropriately if you're doing co-op. So at the end of this chapter, you get a radio in that you're going to be evac'd, but instead of that, I believe it's Dalton actually radios in and says that they have a distress signal that was reported in. So you're going to be going on the rescue mission now instead of going home.
Darn it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of your job now since you're pretty much the number 1 Spartan team. You're Palmer's pets at this point.
Nice.
So, like the last episode, I believe you have some stats for us for this episode in terms of enemies.
Yeah, as always. This one is good for Storm Grunts and Watchers, and then from there it gets a little light, maybe Crawlers, but certainly if you want to get some Watcher kills, this is good for about 25 or so, the same with the Storm Grunts. Beyond that, it's just a general mix of everything else, so that's about the only thing to really look for in this one. But there are other missions that have more Watchers in them, so this one's just kind of a general one to go through. As far as replaying it, that's up to you. I would say replay it on Legendary for more of a challenge, but if you're looking for commendations, this is probably one that you could bypass.
Yeah. I'll say this, episode 5 is probably one of the best episodes to look for getting a lot of your enemy commendations, because
yes,
it seems like what they've done is pretty much slowly ramped up the difficulty for each episode, and you get
in the amount of enemies. Yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of enemies in the chapters in episode 5 that you can get a lot more kills off of. So if you're looking to get those commendations, like if you play through Spartan Ops and now you're looking for a little bit more challenge, do those episodes and you will go through your commendations really quickly. And plus it gets you ranked up faster for your Spartan rank.
Yes, yeah. And as we've said before, playing Spartan Ops in the matchmaking part of Spartan Ops is what gets you the most credits, or most XP, rather.
Correct. All right, Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is called For Science. I wonder why. An Infinity Science team issued a distress call, then went silent. There's been no contact since. This is on the map The Cauldron, and your objective, discover status of missing science team. Seems like they're missing a few words in there, but okay. So for this one, you are answering the distress call that you got from the last chapter, and you're going to be figuring out what happened to the science team after they went dark. You're back on station where the Forerunner artifact originally got found, the one that's currently wreaking havoc on Infinity. So after you land at the site, you're going to go out and take some Covenant comm equipment, and which is pretty easy. You can take out most of that stuff with just a single grenade. Most of the time you'll be able to get about, I think about halfway to the place where the radio towers are before you start seeing your first set of enemies, and it's like just a couple grunts and elites, and then once you actually get to the comm equipment, then you'll see a whole slew of elites, grunts, and jackals. So it's pretty much easy pickings until you get up to that point. And if you're playing with multiple people, like 2 more, you can just each chunk a grenade at one of the towers and take it out really quickly. So your first objective there is really easy to do, really easy to push through as well. After you take out those comm arrays, you will be looking for you will actually be informed from Infinity that they found a camp of where the science team was last known to be located. And once you get there, there's going to be an IF tag that you can pick up and listen into some audio logs that was recorded with the IFF tag to try to find out what's happened to this science team.
By the way, we should state what IFF means.
Oh, yes.
For those that don't know. Identify friend or foe.
Yes. Or it's also known as FOF tag. Friend or foe tag.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess I should have caught that, but thank you.
Right? That's all right. Figured I'd just mention it, throw it in there.
Yeah, thanks for catching that for me. Another thing I kind of glanced over that I should probably have went a little slower on is once you get to the comm arrays, you'll have drop pods pretty much come in and drop enemies on you at the comm tower position and then the next position after you pick up the IFF tag. So make sure you keep your eyes on the skies as the Covenant drop in more troops to prevent your movement throughout the rest of the mission. Once you get to the IFF tag, though, there's some weapon crates that you really want to pay attention to. There's a rocket launcher.
Oh, yeah. No, I was go on. I was saying some good ones.
Okay, yeah. So there's some good stuff there. There's a rocket launcher and sniper rifle that are very useful, especially for this upcoming part, because there are going to be a lot of Covenant in this next little section that you're going to come up on. So after you start entering the cave system where your next objective is, you'll see an elite on the turret and then another elite off to the side. Take them out pretty quickly. They're not too much of a pain. One of them has a fuel rod and then the other one's on a turret. So just keep your distance and take them out with some focused DMR, carbine fire, or with the sniper rifle that you just picked up. But it's probably better if you save the sniper rifle for the next part. Once you take out those two elites, deactivate the shield door that's in front of you and prepare firefight mode.
Yes.
There are about... It's somewhere between 3 and 5 different waves of Covenant dropships that come in and deploy troops that you have to fight through. And once you shoot off all of the Covenant there, you'll hear from Spartan Palmer to proceed with your pursuit of trying to get the scientists out. And once you get past all of the people there, it's pretty much straightforward from there on out. You're going to go through the rest of the lava flows, pretty much in reverse of what you did in Chapter 5 of Episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
And that pretty much wraps up the mission. At that point, you make your way up to the back kind of Forerunner room area, and you take out the shield, and you've rescued the science team. So that one is pretty quickly to do if you have a lot of people playing with you, and the only real choke point is those wave of enemies at that first part, or the last part right before you get to the scientists.
And even then, that's still not too terribly difficult.
No, it's just sheer numbers, really.
Yeah.
And one rocket launcher and one sniper really isn't enough, I think, to handle that in terms of like firepower, but you'll have enough ammo and other weapons, DMR or whatever other primary weapons you carry, that you'll be able to take out just about everybody without dying. And if not, there's going to be plenty of weapons on the ground that you can pick up.
Yep.
So give us the stats for Chapter 2.
Okay, Chapter 2. There are. This is certainly a decent one for grunts. I have it counted about 20 each for storm grunts and imperial grunts. So certainly, this might be one to consider for that specific commendation for that type of grunt. The one thing that I don't get, and this is something we need to try and track down maybe with BS Angel, is the nomenclature between what you see for commendations versus what you see on your record is not the same. So, it doesn't say a commendation for storm grunts. It will say a commendation for imperial grunts, but where does storm grunts lie in that? Which one is it? Is it a regular grunt? Is it does it count towards the imperial ones or what? That I'm not sure. But suffice it to say, though, that it has plenty of grunts on it. So this is one you might want to consider replaying. Again, though, later on, later missions, later episodes will still give you more than this.
Very interesting. I believe you will probably follow up to that one.
Yep, I will definitely.
Okay, so our next chapter is Hacksaw. For this one, Marine Squad Hacksaw is pinned down and requests Spartan assistance. This is on the map Fortress, and your objective, of course, is to rescue the Marines. So the overview of this one is, pretty straightforward of what we had in the description. The Marines are radioing for help, and it's pretty funny what they say because they're just like, we could really use some backup right now. just some firepower, or heck, even some reinforcements would be nice. Anyone out there? Hello.
Yeah.
We're getting our asses kicked. So, of course, you're there. The cavalry has arrived, and first thing you want to do is pick up the rocket launcher that's staring you straight in the face. There is a weapon cache right in front of you with, I believe, a couple of assault rifles and some other weapon, and then the rocket launcher. And you'll want that to take out some of the elites that you will be facing when you go to rescue the Marines. And there are other weapon caches that you'll be able to pick up weapons as well. The 3 groups of Marines are at each of the small towers. So if you remember the level, what was it? It wasn't Requiem, it was the one afterwards.
Oh gosh, I can't remember.
Forerunner?
Forerunner, maybe? Yeah, it could be. I can't recall.
Yeah, I think it's Forerunner. Then it's those 3 towers that would be leading up to the tower that we take down the shield. And it's the same one. I guess I should just put it this way. It's the same one from chapter 3 of the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that one. There you go. That should be a little bit easier explanation for you guys. Sorry about that. So the 3 groups of Marines are in the 3 smaller towers, and then in each one of them, after you rescue them, is a weapons cache with a saw, and I don't believe they have rocket launchers.
No, actually, I think they do.
Do they? Okay.
I'm pretty sure they do. Maybe not all of them, but I'm almost positive at least.
Each one has the same set.
Does it? Well, okay, then I guess it does.
I want to say I think it's just saws because there's rocket launcher and Spartan lasers up top.
We might have to play through this again.
Yeah. And I don't have it in my notes that there are rocket launchers in the towers.
I'm looking at my stats here, and it says that I had 13 rocket launcher kills, so...
Well, that could be in this whole second wave, too.
Yeah.
So, anyway, regardless of the weapon, there are some power weapons in there that you will want to pick up. Let's just put it that way. So definitely look at picking up the saws, and if there's rocket launchers in there, definitely pick those up as well. After you rescue all the groups of Marines, then there's going to be onslaughts of Covenant, and I know we've said firefight experience before for some of the past chapters. This one's truly firefight because you have waves after waves after waves after waves of Covenant. I want to say there's maybe 6 different drop ships, maybe 8.
Yeah, I haven't.
Or Phantoms.
Count them. One thing for sure, since you have the large tower in the center there, it's always a good idea to get up on that tower and shoot from high, on high, and you'll have the upper ground there, and it's a lot easier to take them out. And the Marines, believe it or not, will help you to a point. So as long as you're staying up high and shooting and keeping the Covenant
to a point
busy, then the Marines might come in and help you out a little bit.
Right.
Count on it, but they might.
They just might decide to help you. So there are Spartan lasers and rocket launchers as on the top of the tower that HaloFanForLife was mentioning, and you can use those to take out the Phantoms that come in. And it doesn't take too much firepower. It does take quite a bit from rocket launchers and Spartan lasers. I believe it takes at least 4 lasers.
Yeah, you're gonna drain a laser probably
just on one Phantom. Yeah,
Phantom. But there's several lasers up there. At least 2 or 3. So you won't have a problem.
Well, and they will actually respawn after a time.
Mm-hmm.
Any Spartan laser or rocket launcher that you use, after a certain amount of time, they will respawn. So in theory, you have an infinite supply of Spartan lasers and rocket launchers at your disposal.
Hey, here's something, too, that I actually tried this yesterday, and it worked. Before you go up to the tower by yourself, when they tell you to go up there, you want to maybe walk around the Marines a little bit and get them to follow you. It might take an extra minute or 2, but whatever Marines you have left will actually come up to the tower with you. And the good reason to do that is whenever you get up there then and all these other enemies start coming in from the Covenant, well, the Marines are already going to be up there with you, and they'll actually draw their fire away from you so that you can take out the Covenant without much of a worry of dying.
You know what you can also do? Is give them Spartan lasers and rocket launchers.
True enough.
So make sure if you do get the Marines up there, trade out their weapons for Spartan lasers and rockets. Believe it or not, when they have those power weapons, they can be very effective.
Absolutely.
And also a thing to note is that some of the Pelicans will come and drop wraiths. You can take them out while they're being carried under the Pelicans. So make sure if you have a Spartan laser to get a shot on the wraith so it doesn't wreak havoc on you later when it decides to try to drop it.
Yep,
and at the final wave, you'll have 2 phantoms come in. I believe it's just the last 2, and then you have to destroy those phantoms. You have to take your Spartan lasers or rocket launchers, whichever one you prefer, and take them out. They do have health meters on it, and one thing that, well, I'll let you explain it since you were the one that kind of discovered it. About the preemptive shooting.
Yeah. If you those ones, if you shoot them previous to that, in other times when they come and they drop off enemies before that, if you shoot them, you can actually, when it comes to this last part, some of their health will already be decreased from the phantoms themselves, so you actually will have a much easier time taking them out. So be sure to get in a shot on those phantoms, whenever you can. It doesn't have to be right at the end where you're racing to try and kill them. Get them, a little beforehand, get a couple shots in, and it'll just make it that much easier.
I think you can even, if you do it right, you can take them out before they leave and they won't even come back.
I can't recall that. Maybe. We'll have to explore that again.
Yeah, don't quote me on that, but I think I saw that in a video I watched. Not exactly sure, but I think that's the case. Also, in this chapter, there is an achievement. Yay, we love our achievements. This achievement is called No One Left Behind for 20 gamer score, and what you have to do is save at least one Marine.
Just one.
On heroic difficulty or harder. Just one. Really, really easy to do if you are playing with friends. Really easy to do. It's almost like you don't even have to think about it.
In fact, I don't think I did whenever I played it. It really is that easy, though.
Yeah, it's really, really easy. It's nothing. It's really, really nothing. Just
except
saying.
My gamer score.
Yeah, except for the gamer score. All right. So what are the stats for this chapter?
Well, you know what? This one you could almost just toss away and not even worry about it, because there are a varied amount of enemies and there's nothing that super stands out. A little bit of grunts, a little bit of elites, but it's nothing that is going to really pump any of your commendations up. So this is the one that, if you're looking for pure firefight, that's the replayability of it. If you haven't got that achievement yet, then certainly you want to do this one for the achievement. But as far as commendations go, I wouldn't worry about this one too much.
All right, fair enough. Moving on to Chapter 4 for Episode 2. We're going to be taking a look at... Where is it? There it is. Pelican Down. This is Fireteam Crimson has been shot down. Well, that sucks.
Yep.
You're playing on the map Sniper Alley, and your objective? Situation developing. We're not exactly sure. Let's find out. So apparently, after your hacksaw mission, after you rescued some Marines, your Pelican, out of all the Pelicans that were escorting the Marines home, got shot down by some local anti-air. So you're pretty much stuck until you can take out the anti-air guns. So what you're going to be doing is, after you make your way up the Sniper Alley and up the Tower of Bridges, as I like to call it. I'm not exactly sure what you would call that other than the Sniper Alley. You're going to take out the anti-air turrets, and then you're going to be able to make your way back home. But to get there, you have to fight through a multitude of a certain enemy that is a nightmare to fight. I'll put it that way. Once you get into the first area, you spawn off down in the gully, where you destroyed the power core from the last episode, and you have to make your way up, and then the first cove you have a couple of sniper jackals and some other Covenant that are just sitting around, and you have to take those out. And then you go through the hairpin of rocks, and then once you get to the part where you can actually see the bridges and the structure, there are a lot, and I mean a lot of jackal snipers.
Yes. You want to definitely keep behind something, take cover for sure, because this is one level that you can easily get pinged off and not even know where it came from.
Yes. And actually, there's another level that's a lot worse. That comes up in the later episode. But you have, was it 4? Yeah, 4 sniper jackals that are sitting up on the structures beyond the 2 initial pillars where the second shield door was in the last episode, and they will snipe you to kingdom come. If you are not ready for them when you turn that corner, you're as good as dead.
That's putting it mildly.
So as you're making that turn to where you can see the bridges and the structure, take your time to slowly go around, peek around the rocks, and headshot them. You do have a small window of where they, quote-unquote, don't see you, where you can take them out with a DMR or a BR. DMR is probably one of the best recommended weapons in this because it has the best scope out of all the primary weapons.
Yeah, so and in fact, before you even get to that part of the bridge there, that second hairpin, it's the last part of the gully before you get to the bridge. You can see a couple of them. So those ones that you can see, take them out. If you're playing co-op with somebody, let one person kind of be the scout, move up and let
the second person clean it up unless you got shot.
Yeah. Well, the moves up. They're the person that can kind of get the attention of the snipers, and then you'll have an easier time, picking them off.
True. Very true. Although I like my bait and switch a lot better.
Sure.
So after you zigzag your way up, make sure you watch out for the sniper jackals. Take them out, and then you'll be able to slowly make your way up the structures. Once you get up to that first kind of platform, there's going to be a lot of invisible elites. So it's probably a good idea to pick up those beam rifles and then take out the invisible elites when you see them. Granted, they're a little bit harder to aim since they're not clearly visible, and you don't exactly know if they'd be moving in one direction or another. Granted, if you're like Sal and me, who have a lot of playing experience, you can kind of take them out pretty easily. Just saying, not to brag or anything, but once you get to the bridge, actually before you cross the bridge, you will receive a weapon supply drop from Infinity, and I'm not exactly sure why they did this because it's just one sniper rifle.
Yeah.
And it's not like they could have given that to you before you were getting shot by the sniper jackals. I'm not exactly sure what they were thinking there. It's like, oh, you're getting sniped by snipers. Here, let's give you a sniper rifle, which you don't really need anymore. Just saying.
It helps though later. I would still say pick it up. Don't waste the sniper. Pick it up, and take it with you for some of the shots later on when you get past the bridge.
Yeah, but I mean there's beam rifles there that you can use just as easily.
Well, that's what I do. See, I take the sniper rifle. I use up the sniper rifle for the enemies far out, and then I grab a beam rifle. So I make sure I use the ammo at least.
Yeah. One thing to note here before I forget to say it, and this applies to all Spartan Ops missions, and I want to say campaign as well. If you want to have a weapon stay on the map without it despawning, don't go near it, and don't walk over it to where it has the prompt, because once you go over it, there's a magic little flag that comes up with the weapon item, and then once you walk past it, in about 2 seconds it'll be gone.
Yeah.
And I found that if you walk past it and you stay in the general area of the weapon but don't pick it up, and don't have the prompt kind of pop up for picking up the weapon, then it'll stay there for a little while longer, and before you go into your next area, you can go pick it up.
Yeah, that's good advice for sure. So
if you want to leave weapons on the ground before you kind of go into your next area, as you kind of proceed through quote-unquote core areas of Spartan Ops missions, and same thing applies for campaign, don't walk over the weapon or go near it. It's kind of, and I mean, but I say don't go near it, you can go within like 3 meters of it and you'll be fine. It's just as long as you're not too close to it and you're not walking over it where it gives you the prompt, then you're fine. So that's one thing I use to, like for all the sniper, the beam rifles that are down there. Pick up one, don't walk over another one, shoot it all out with the invisible elites and the grunts, go pick up another one and do the same thing over and over again until you're done with that section, and then take a fresh one into the new section you're going into.
Very good. Yes.
Yep. So you're going to continue to ascend the rest of the tower, and once you fight through all the Covenant up there and take them all out, you're going to deactivate all of the anti-air batteries.
Not too hard to do. Pretty easy.
Or I guess you're disabling the power supply, and then you're going back down. So after you get up there, you pretty much go all the way back down, and then you will be able to get evac'd, and then you're going to be on your way to Science Team Gargarian, where they're having some problems as well.
Well, remember, there's don't forget the hunters there too, near the end.
Oh yeah, but you can bypass those.
Well,
kind of. But yeah, so like he was saying, there are some hunters that are up there. There is actually, before you go up to the final tier where you have to deactivate the anti-air, there is a weapon crate to the left that has some fuel rods in it. Make sure you pick those up to take out the hunters. Depending on the difficulty, it may take anywhere from 5 to 10 fuel rod shots or banana slugs, as some of the Marines call them.
But there's two there, two full fuel rods, so you should be able to take. You'll take one of the hunters out, and the second one, if not killed, will be severely weakened, so it won't be too hard for you to do.
And I need to retract the statement I just said before this. You actually don't go back down the canyon. You stay there, and you're actually going to go into one of the tunnels to end the mission, because apparently you're close enough to Gargarian team where you don't have to get evac'd, and you can actually just walk there.
Right.
So I retract my statement from a few minutes ago, and you're not going back down the sniper alley afterwards. You're just staying up there. And
that's why you have to
mission.
take those hunters out.
Yeah. So I was actually thinking of another mission where you have to go up and then you have to go back down. So sorry about that.
It gets confusing, but
a little bit. Well, I mean, once you play the level 4 or 5 times in different missions for the same season, it starts to blur together a little bit.
It does.
That's why I have notes, and that's why I should read them a little bit more thoroughly.
It's all right.
So give us the stats for this chapter.
Well, as you pointed out at the beginning, this one is extremely good for getting Jackal snipers and rangers. That's 25 there for those. Now, it doesn't break it down how many rangers versus how many snipers, but certainly we know from playing this level several times that if you want to get your your Jackal sniper, if I can not mix those two words together, if you want to get your Jackal sniper commendations up, this is definitely one of those levels that you want to replay.
Right. I want to say there are 7 sniper Jackals. 4 on the first. No, I'm sorry.
There's
9.
More because 9. You've got some in the gully too.
9 or 10. There's either 2 or 3 in that first section. Then there's 4 on that bridge. There's 2 on either side of where the first shield was in the first episode, and then I know there's definitely one on the right-hand side of the top layer. I'm not sure if there's one on the left-hand side of that top layer. I know there's definitely one on the right-hand side. So there are at least 10 sniper Jackals.
Yeah, so this one definitely, I've gone back to this level several times just for the point of getting snipers. Because that one, the Jackal sniper is kind of few and far between. That's probably the one that I'm lacking the most. Certainly for Covenant forces, for the Covenant commendations, that's the one that I'm lacking the most in, because they're just not found as often as the other ones. So this one, replay it for those snipers.
I want to say there is one other mission that's on this level that there are significantly more. I think it's in episode 5, but I'm not exactly sure. Maybe episode 4.
How about we do a podcast on that later? And,
well, we are going to do a podcast on that later. How about that? So we'll tell you then. How about that? We'll save that for later. All right, so moving on to our final chapter for this episode is going to be Gargarian. Science Team Gargarian, last seen researching location codenamed Refuge, is MIA. no distress call. The map is the refuge, and your objective: discover Gargarian's fate. I want to say Gargarian. It's Gagarin, but I want to say Gargarin, but it's Gagarin. Yeah. Little tongue twister there for you.
If I can throw this in too, before we go into the mission, this is something I was telling you before we started this. Gagarin is actually named after Yuri Gagarin, who was the first human in space. He flew aboard the Vostok spacecraft in April of '61, so this is kind of an homage to the first human in space using the word Gagarin. So I just thought that was cool from a historical standpoint. That the folks at 343 would throw that into the game. So that's just point of trivia. Take your time and look it up sometime.
Very interesting. All right. So for this one, it's at the refuge, which is the big Forerunner area with the forest area over to the left-hand side and all that good stuff. But this time, you actually now I'm drawing a blank. You spawn. Do you spawn the same spot that you did in episode 1, right?
Yes.
Okay, the jungle one is the next episode then. Okay, so of course your first objective is all the way on the other side of the map.
Of course.
Again. Again. So you actually make your way all the way through without encountering any enemies this time. But you discover a audio log in a computer that's back where the star map from the first episode was. So you take a listen to it, and you hear some scientists talking about turning on some Forerunner technology and whether or not it's the right thing to do.
Hold on a second, though. Before you go to the first objective, you should go to the jungle area on the left.
No, that's afterwards.
What?
We talk about that afterwards.
Oh, I thought we talk about it now.
No. That's afterwards.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, we'll say afterwards.
All right.
Because we want to talk about what actually goes on in the right ones before we do the other ones.
All right.
So
Fair enough.
There's a method to my madness, and you guys will find out in about 5 minutes. So after you listen to this first audio log of what the scientists are debating about, you hear this kind of big explosion thing in the background, and then the audio cuts off, and then you hear from Spartan Miller that it looks like there's some Forerunner tech that was left on by the science team. So you jump down, actually right down from the platform you're standing at, and you turn the 2 Forerunner towers off. But during that, guess who comes to join the party? That's right, Prometheans. So you get to fight off some Prometheans while you try to disable the Forerunner tech, and then they spawn everywhere, and you have to make your way back out to the big dome area, and you keep on fighting more Prometheans and all that good stuff.
And this can actually get fairly overwhelming too, because there's a lot of enemies here.
Even when you're playing with like 4-player co-op, especially on Legendary, it can get overwhelming. That's how many Prometheans you're facing, including knights.
Definitely.
So it's definitely a Promethean-heavy mission, this one. So you're the Forerunner tech that you're deactivating on your first wave is 2 towers out on the ground floor. And then you make your way out to the main chamber. And then there's another computer that Infinity's identified that you need to go play. And it's some scientists are trying to figure out what's going on, and then there's some other screeching noises, and the other scientists are really not sure what's going on. And then after you listen to that audio log, you go and disable another piece of Forerunner tech that the scientists have managed to manage their way into activating. So you have to go, let's see, on the opposite side of where that second terminal was.
Which side, jungle side or the cement?
Actually, hang on. Sorry, you actually have to. There's another piece of Forerunner tech back in the same chamber in the back. They have to go deactivate after you activate that second terminal.
Is that right?
I think so. Is it on the other? Is it on the opposite side? My notes say it's back in the chamber, and I remember there's 2 different ones because you have to disable the 2 pillars first, and then there's that center console one.
Right.
Yeah. So the second one's also in the back. It's a different tower though. one thing to note though is even after you've played the audio bit and running your way back there, once you get to that last, or not the last one, the second Forerunner tech thing, there's going to be more enemies that instantly spawn there when you get very close. So just make sure you kind of pace yourself as you're going to each one of these Forerunner tech pieces that you have to disable.
Right.
So kind of take your time and pace yourself, and especially just with the number of enemies, pace yourself is a good idea as well. One thing to point out before we get, I guess, too much further into it, there are Promethean weapon caches scattered throughout the level. So on the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the main chamber, I think on the left-hand side there are incinerator cannons. There's a full rack of incinerator cannons and a full rack of...
That's the cement side.
Oh, so that's the right side.
There's the jungle side, then there's the cement side.
The jungle side is the left side, the cement side is the right side. Okay, so you're saying the cement side has the fuel rod?
The side has the incinerator cannons.
Okay.
And it's on the second level.
Right. So on the right-hand side then, there are incinerator cannons. On the left-hand side, there are binary rifles, and there's actually 2 crates of binary rifles. So definitely pick those up. You can actually pick them up before the first wave of Prometheans, before you even activate that first terminal as well. So probably should have mentioned that a little bit earlier, but at least now you know.
Yeah, I actually saved those for later after
for
I
the last one.
First couple of them. What's that?
For the last set? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much for the last set, because there's just so many enemies towards the end there that I don't want to waste the incinerator cannon early when I know I can take them out with other weapons.
I think those actually respawn as well, though. I think those, if I remember right, I believe after a little bit they will refill with incinerator cannons and binary rifles.
I'm gonna.
I remember playing on solo on that mission on Legendary, and I had to repeatedly go back and pick up ammunition for it, and I'm pretty sure that after a while they actually replenished weapons in those crates.
That's good. Yeah, those binary weapons, while very powerful, are also very low on ammunition. So
yeah, it's
weapon I have, but woo.
Yeah, it's 2 shots per clip, and then you have 4 clips. No, 3 clips. Sorry. Well, you get 4 clips if you pick up ammo from another one, but the default allocation is 3 clips, but the max is 4. They can hold.
And don't forget, though, if you have the ammo mod, you actually can get more.
That is true. Except the only one I use is, it's an armor mod, so for me it's fast track. No, sorry, Grenadier. Firepower. Sorry, firepower. That's it, firepower. Firepower or dexterity is my armor mod. Those are the 2 ones I mainly use.
Which are great ones. That's what I use a lot.
Yeah. Actually, sometimes I use explosives as well. Anyway, so after you disable the second Forerunner tower, you go to a 3rd terminal, and then this is where the real fun begins on this mission.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you have to go to the very top and disable not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 Forerunner pillars. And they're actually not that hard to do, because if you have a couple of people, if you're playing with at least 2 people, you can have 2 people go and disable 2 towers and then just switch and do the other 2. They're really quick to disable. And I think you just hit X and then you can run. It's not an animated effect. You just can hit it and then it'll start doing its own thing.
Right.
And there'll be knights that spawn up there, but they'll kind of not shoot at you for the first 5 seconds while you're standing up there. But afterwards, after you disable all the towers, you definitely want to get the heck out of there and run for your life and start shooting back at them.
Yeah, that's a death trap area there.
Very much so. Yeah, I think so. So that is probably the most Prometheans you're going to have in one wave for the last one. And it'll be a good, if you're playing on solo, it'll be a good 5-7 minute battle. And if you're playing co-op, it'll be probably at least 2-3 minutes long before you can take them all out.
Right.
But once you do take them all out, you make your way over to the jungle area, and you'll have one last wave of Prometheans, you'll have about 5 or 6 crawlers, and then one more knight that has a scatter shot. After you take them out, you will be extracted with a pelican, and then Marines will stay on station for the remainder of, I guess, their stay. The thing that Sal was alluding to a little bit earlier was the Rooster Teeth Easter egg being on this chapter. So for episode 2, the Rooster Teeth Easter egg is on chapter 5, and to activate this Easter egg, since you were so eager to tell it, why don't you tell us where it is, Sal?
Well, you go left into the jungle area from where you spawn, and you'll see some glowing bulbous-like plants, as your notes say. When you go there,
Keyed term that was keyed by you.
oh, was it?
I believe. Yeah, I believe you decided to call it the bulbous glowing plants.
Okay. I can't remember. But anyways, you go there. Let's see, what is it? Where's it at exactly again? I can't recall.
So it's as you go into the jungle tunnel, which is from where you spawn is to the left-hand side. You'll see a little kind of cove area. The first one that you see on the left, that's where the box is. And if you kind of have to go to the right-hand side of the little indentation, and then if you look into that hole, you'll see the box there.
That's right.
Yep.
And that totally changes all the other,
it changes the audio
here
logs.
Throughout the rest of the mission.
Yeah, it changes the audio logs. It doesn't change anything else other than the audio logs that you get from the terminal.
That's what I mean, yeah.
So the first computer that you'll hear is from Church and Caboose. Yeah, Church and Caboose are arguing with each other. And then they're arguing each other again with the second one, and Caboose is, like, I think he catches himself on fire.
Yes.
And then the third one is between Griff and Simmons, and then a little bit into the audio log, you hear Caboose screaming in the background. It's like, I'm on fire! I think something like that. So, again, they're pretty funny to play, and I think they put these Easter eggs on probably the more difficult levels to really just kind of give it a humorous effect and make it a little bit more enjoyable to play. Because the lines that they did for these, I mean, shout outs to Rooster Teeth. They did a really good job on these lines.
Yeah, it's definitely funny. And I highly suggest playing this level once without getting it, and certainly once again getting the Easter egg, just so you hear the different audio logs.
So, quick question for you then.
Yeah?
I didn't bring this up in the last episode because it wasn't explicitly stated that it was Caboose speaking on the radio. I mean, we know it because we know the voice actor and everything. But is Red vs. Blue canonized now?
I would have to say yeah. Because the question, now what I'm going to say here is in Spartan Ops, but it relates to what you just said, though. Somebody had posed a question then about war games, and when you hear the announcer, Jeff Steitzer, right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Is he considered canon now too? Is he like an officer aboard the Infinity when War Games is happening? And don't quote me on it, but I think it was Frank O'Connor that said yes, that he would be considered canon then. So certainly,
you just blew my mind.
Yeah. If that's the case, then I would have to say, Red versus Blue, or Rooster Teeth, that it would have to be,
Because Griffball is canon now.
Absolutely. So, I would say that they would be.
All right. I think we just settled that discussion.
Yeah. Let me get a stat real quick here on this. This one, by far, if you want to get your crawlers, this is where you do it. The stats that I have for this are 78 crawlers, 21 crawlers, and then 21 knights. So this is certainly the one of all. I'm talking even up through episode 5. If you want to get crawler accommodations, you want to hit this one over and over and over.
Dang.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a good one for that.
Problem solved. You just rattled off, 99 crawlers. Right, because you said 78 and 21?
Yeah. Well, yeah. But, I mean,
dang it, that's one away from the 100 if you would normally get it in
the alpha
in your
crawlers
weekly.
Themselves are pretty easy to get through a lot of the other missions. It's the regular crawlers that aren't for some reason, you would think they would have been more populous, but for some reason, the alpha crawlers, certainly when I was going through all these, I hit that one on the master commendation quickly. But the regular crawlers, I think it's just because you're required to get a lot more of them, for kills, that it's taken me a while. So this is one that, because it outnumbers the alpha crawlers nearly 4-1. This is the one to go back and replay it over and over and over again. And also, if you do this on co-op, now mind you, you're not going to get all 78 kills, but if you do this on co-op, you can rip through this level 5 minutes, 6 minutes, no problem. And
I say more 8 minutes.
Oh, no, I guarantee you I can play it in that length of time.
Really?
Yeah. I've checked my stats on this. In fact, if you look at the Infinity Challenge and you look at Spartan Ops, there was a guy that was leading, I can't remember, I think it was like Abstract Mango or something like that was his name. And in fact, he had so many games at the beginning there that he kind of, I kind of felt disenfranchised by that and kind of quit worrying about winning the thing because he had so many games ahead of me. But I looked at his record to see how he was getting so many games in, and it was this specific mission, Gagarin, that he was playing. And it wasn't like he was cheating. The dude was playing them, and he was getting kills like mad. And I noticed that he was playing them in I think the shortest one I saw was 4 minutes 50 seconds up to about 6 minutes 20 seconds. So it's very easy to get this mission done over, because from that, when I saw that, I took some of my friends in and played this mission just to see if we could do it. And without even trying to rush through the mission, we were still getting it done in the 5 to 6 minute range. So absolutely, this is a replayable mission for time if you want to rip the missions through quickly, as well as getting your crawler commendation boosted up.
All right, then. I think enough's been said on that one.
Yeah.
Hello everybody, welcome to our continuing coverage of the Halo 4 War Games maps. This time we're going to be taking a look at a very competitive map, Haven. This is actually one of the first maps that we saw when 343 first announced the War Games side of Halo 4. And it's a crowd favorite for a lot of people. And I have Nak3d Eli here with me today to help walk through the map with spawns, with strategies, and all that good stuff. So welcome back, Nak3d Eli.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for having me. I was about to say sup, but I didn't want to steal that from Euphorix, so he can keep it.
Okay. We need to get him on, actually.
He's a good guy. You should get him on one of these days.
Well, he's been on before. We just need to get him on again.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Must have missed that one.
It's all right. It was our most downloaded episode. Didn't you know that?
Ever? Holy crap.
From the time I've been on the show, yes. We had a Halo Council show, and it's still the most downloaded show that we've had.
Nice.
That's sick. It peaked 50,000 hits.
Jesus.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Yeah, I know, right? So hopefully, it's yet to be seen whether or not Halo's actually in the MLG circuit, but if it is, then they'll probably get a lot more press again, too.
For sure.
So let's talk about Haven, shall we?
Let's do it.
This one is a very competitive map, loved by a lot of competitive players, because it is very symmetrical to start off with. And there are lots of little interesting jumps and kind of shooty holes and hiding holes that make it really, I guess, appealing to that kind of player.
For sure.
So, is there anything that kind of really sticks out that makes this map just the map to play competitively? Because that's what it seems like when you talk to a lot of people, is that Haven is just kind of that perfect map for at least the kind of the Team Slayer aspect to competitive Halo.
Well, it's my favorite map in the game by far, as it is for a lot of people. You know that everyone voted for Haven so much that they had to limit the amount of times it showed up in matchmaking because they did not want people to get sick of Haven too fast. Kind of like one of those popular songs on the radio. Like, we need to tone this down a bit before everyone starts hating it.
You're talking like Boulevard of Broken Dreams?
Yes, that
kind of
level
that style.
yeah, exactly. But I think, I don't know, I've played a lot on Haven, and I think what really makes it special is the fact that it can do so much for so many different kinds of players. It's that map that I think they really strive to make that fits every single armor ability, tactical package, support upgrade. It really just does the best job of balancing the game, in my opinion. Part of that is what you said was the symmetry of the map. So since it is symmetrical, that takes out a lot of variables that developers try to balance if they're making an asymmetrical map, right? It's like, well, if they have the lower ground, they should get a sniper. And that might work for some loadouts, but that will not work for other loadouts. So Haven is symmetrical, it's balanced, it's beautiful. Just looking at the map, it's lighting is really important to the user experience. And the only problem I'd say with it is that it's hard to have callouts because it's so symmetrical and so even that people get confused about like where to call out the enemy. But that's just all the tryhards having trouble with that. So yeah, it's good for Slayer. It's good for Objective. Everything that I played on it is just a lot of fun.
I mean, that goes to say during the pre-show you got the two sides confused on which one was blue and red.
Yes, I did.
So I mean, it's all right though. I haven't played too much into the competitive yet because I'm still waiting for the MLG playlist to come out, if and when it comes out. But
the competitive on that map is fun. Like, I've played a few games with pros. One of the first competitive games I played on it was against Goofy right after he won the national championship. We actually beat him, SK, and Twilight by like 15 points or something. It was ridiculous. And then I played other games on it where it's a really, really close call. And no matter what settings are on it, it just always seems to be a really fun, fast-paced game type.
That's good. When we get to the appropriate segment, we'll have to branch off into some of the MLG specific stuff that's been worked on. I'm assuming you're kind of up to date on that kind of stuff.
Kind of. I know a little bit about the changes they've made, but I honestly am not a huge fan of the V1 settings, so I haven't followed it as close as I should.
I think they've come out with the V2
already.
Maybe not officially. I think I heard some talk about a V2 though.
I mean, V2 comes after V1, so...
That is true. So let's do some initial spawns and loadouts. So this one is primarily a Slayer map. There are some other game types that go along with this, but primarily for Slayer. So the blue team actually spawns out in the big open area that faces the clouds. The beautiful vista actually out there. It's an elegant map. I don't necessarily know if beautiful is the right word because it's kind of a singular kind of grayscale color, but it's definitely elegant.
I guess I see that.
So I would use that term over beautiful. But anyways, blue team spawns over there, and then red team spawns over in the closed side of things. And you usually have two different groups of people. If you have people that just kind of play recreationally, most of the time you're going to see them go straight up to the middle and try to shoot to the other side. And that happens a lot in SWAT, where you see people peeking over the edges and try to get the first shot off. And then you have your more experienced players that sometimes will go up the middle, or sometimes they'll be smart and go down into the sides and try to flank and get some of the more powerful weapons like the scatter shot and the sticky detonator. So those are the two primary spawn points. The initial weapon loadouts is bottom mid. You have the scatter shot over on, and we'll designate these now, I guess. So over on the right side from open, that is red
That's
side.
red ramp where the sticky dead is. Yeah.
Yeah. So over on the red side, on the red street, the sticky det pops up in front of that little pillar on the right hand side or the red side. On the left side or blue side, we have the Needler that spawns over there. We also have the grenades on this map, there are 2 sets of plasma grenades, one on the red side, one on the blue side. And if you take the middle paths that go outwards and then you have the little jump up area, it's right in front of that on either side for the plasmas. And then you have your frag grenades that are underneath closed. And then...
And open.
Is it same for open?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, same for open.
So it's like a plus sign, right? And the plasmas are on the colored sides, and the frags are on the open-closed side down the middle. I wanted to clarify that the reason we're designating one side red and one side blue, it's strictly just because that's what the MLG pros decided to do when they went to Dallas, since there was no easy way to delineate the maps. And now in their V1 settings, they actually have blue and red colors on those sides. So it makes it a little easier to see the colors.
Yeah, I think they put the color orbs in the ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty sweet looking. I prefer any map that has very clear blue and red sides. It just makes calling out so much easier. Unlike Countdown and Reach, dude, I play the game so much and I still don't know which side is which when I'm running around on that map.
Yeah, isn't the right side blue and then, well, if you're facing, I guess if you're facing from the launch
I just know
pad, the left side's
red goes to Rocket's left. That's all I know.
Okay.
I figured
there you go,
out
red to
there.
Rocket's left.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I didn't actually know this, but I'm looking around in Forge right now. There's actually, on the blue side, there's all the walls are pane of glass on the top level.
Yes, that's why some people have different callouts. They'll call the pane of glass side open side, and then they'll call the other side without the glass closed side. So you'd replace red with closed, I believe, and blue with open. But then that confuses everyone because people think of open ramp as like that elegant vista viewpoint, and closed ramp as the other frag point. So where Mohawk is. So it's confusing terminology. I think most people now are sticking with red and blue callouts.
All right. So those are all the initial spawns, right? Can't think of. I think
for default, yeah.
Yeah. There's lots of random drops everywhere. Most of the drops are the Needlers, Scattershot, and Sticky Detonator. There are a couple that do binary rifles and incineration cannons. There are some pulse grenades on here as well, and I believe that's all the random weapon drops that there are.
I think that's right.
And they're scattered pretty much throughout the entirety of the map. The binary rifle and the incineration cannon, I'm pretty sure spawn on the top ramps of blue and red on the sides.
I know that
the binary
rifle spawns at the top of blue ramp. I don't know about red ramp. And I know that the incineration cannon spawns at the bottom of blue drop. I don't know about red drop. I would assume it's symmetrical and it's just like flipping a coin and the game decides which side it wants to put it on, but those are the general positions of it.
Okay. So, there's... I'm flying through right now. I'm trying to figure out... I found the binary rifles. Those are definitely the ones up there. There's... I found about 8 or 12 different random drops that definitely have the Needler, Sticky Det, and Scattershot as any one of the 3 that can be picked. So those are everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to some game type stuff. This map is definitely Slayer heavy. It was in Team Snipers for a bit, I think, and it's in SWAT and Team Slayer right now. There is also Flood. There is Regicide and Team Regicide, and then there is Oddball. So those are
pretty much. I think this map plays every game type except for CTF. Is that right?
Well, we haven't seen Extraction yet, and I don't think it really works well for Dominion.
That's a good point.
I mean, where would the Dominion bases be on here?
Good point. No. That's exactly what I was asking. Because I'm thinking 4v4, but that's 6v6. You're right. It does not work for 6v6 and up game types.
I will say though, when we were actually doing our refs meeting for the Fight Like a Girl tournament, we actually had all of the referees in for a game afterwards, just kind of messing around, and we did Extraction on this map, and it was actually a lot of fun.
Really?
Yeah, it was surprisingly very competitive. Granted, the teams were kind of uneven. We had 5 on one team, 3 on another team, and 2 on another team. So
What?
we were just messing around. We were having a good time, and it actually flowed really well because one of the hills was in the middle. It was where you would expect that they would be. One that's in the dead center, one that's on the ramps on either side. One that's on the closed side in the back there, and then one that's on the open side. And it actually, with the 3 teams that we had, the spawning seemed okay. The approach vectors to get there, I mean, there's so many different ways you can get to different parts of the map. I want to say just about every point that you can get to has at least 3 ways to get in, if not more.
That's pretty dope. I'll have to give it a shot one of these days.
I'm waiting to see when they put the extraction game type actually into the matchmaking playlist, what maps they're going to put in here. Because it also depends on the size of the parties that are in here. Granted, we had only 10 people, and we had some that were dropping in and out, so we didn't have necessarily a correct team lineup. But in terms of just having the flow of it, for multi-team, I think this would be good. I'm not sure about one team versus another team for extraction on this, but I think multi-team would be interesting. And that's another thing I'm really ready to see is multi-team on the matchmaking playlist.
I just can't wait for double team. Always my favorite playlist, bro. Oh, I'm so excited.
There's a lot more playlists that they need to put out that they haven't put out yet.
That's true.
So we'll have a matchmaking update probably here after the Infinity Challenge comes to a wrap up, and then they'll start rotating in new playlists, I think. And then the title update is coming up soon
I hope
too.
it has. They didn't announce ranks in the last bulletin though. I was so disappointed.
Yeah.
I guess that means they're putting it off at least another month or two. Which is
We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so for Slayer, let's start off with Slayer. You spawn on either side. It's probably a good idea to have a couple people go up the main ramps just to see what the other team's doing, and just note where you can back off and withdraw from fire if you get really low shields or you think you're being overpowered, and then have a couple other people go for the power weapons. Now, at least when I've played, I don't see this too much, but blues usually are able to grab the scatter shot. I don't know if that's just with the teams I've encountered not going down and running it, but I think red team should have a little bit more advantage of getting the scatter shot.
Which team spawns on open? Is that red?
Open is blue.
Okay, so they should definitely get the scatter shot because all they have to do is drop down and they're on the scatter shot, right?
But whenever I've played red and gone down, I usually run up the middle and then drop, and now I'm able to grab the scatter shot. Granted, that's probably not the best way to do it. But whenever I go up and not grab the scatter shot, the team I normally see grab it is red team.
Is the scatter
I don't exactly
shot
know why.
on the closed side of the bottom middle structure?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that could be why then. I thought it was on the other side. So then maybe red team just has the advantage in that case.
I think they have the advantage because they can just nade it better.
Right. You nade it better. You can watch the sides as you're getting it, and then you don't have to go around a corner to pick it up. You pick it up watching the corners, and then you can use it if someone comes at you. And that's actually a problem I have with a lot of maps like Exile. It is not an even, like, blue team is closer to the Banshee. They have a Gauss, and they can also get to the tank almost as fast with like a Mongoose. So this is why it's really important to have balance of, at least at the very start, the time that it takes to get to these power weapons, right? Or else you'll give one team a complete advantage off the start. And so we're going to talk about the sticky det. I don't know about you, but I noticed that the team that normally spawns on closed ramp just sends 1 or 2 guys through blue street, or red street rather, and they're already on the sticky det, right? And they can just nade around the corner, and I think red team normally will get the sticky det off the start, which is the most powerful weapon on the map.
I think the main reason for that is just for the blue side, you either have to run underneath and take essentially a longer route.
If you go underneath, you're not getting that power weapon. That's just a fact.
Yeah, the only one you can really be able to get is the scatter shot. But with the red team, you can run up and dash out to the side streets a lot more quickly than the blue team does. The blue team's a lot more exposed if they go up, where if the red team...
Huge. In fact, one of the best strategies if you're red, spawning on a closed ramp, as soon as you spawn, just chuck all of your grenades over towards sticky det side of top mid, and you can clean up at least 2 to 3 kills and weaken the other guy. You'll get the sticky det every time if your grenades were on point. The reason this is only default spawning is because of this. What I'm trying to say is that it's not balanced, right? And so MLG actually switched the spawns so that one team spawns on red ramp and one team spawns on blue ramp, and then both teams are able to access the power weapons in the middle symmetrically.
Yeah, it's a lot more balanced that way.
It's way more balanced. Basically, if you're open ramp spawn, you're going to get screwed off the start. If you're playing like good team versus good team, people know what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Just how the map's laid out.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sirree. Doesn't mean that you can't come back and win or destroy them. It just means you're gonna have a little bit of a tougher time getting the power weapons off the start and staying alive.
Yeah, you have to strategize a little bit more on your starting where you want to go.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have to send probably a couple more people to control an area and get out of your initial spawn that just kind of sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or just send everyone to sticky det basically, or one person to scatter shot maybe. Most people don't even go for scatter shot these days. I don't know if you've noticed, like it's so inconsistent and it has a shorter range than the bolt shot. Most people just walk right by it.
Yeah, I usually go for the scatter shot if no one else is going for it.
And usually get it, right?
Yeah, which is a strange thing because I mean, there's sometimes when I have other people going for it that they pick it up. I find it easier, like I was saying before, that if I spawn red, it's easier for me to grab because I can just either run down the ramp to begin with and chuck a few nades underneath the bottom middle pillars there, or I can run over top, and by the time I get to where the drop down is, there's not enough time for the other team to put shots on me, and I can just drop down, throw a couple nades, and grab the scatter shot. And what you were saying with throwing the grenades from closed open side, when I was running with the Grenadier mod, where you get an extra grenade, I would get first strike almost every time.
Nice.
Yeah. Granted, I'm running fast track now, so I pop shields, but it's still enough to get a good lead when you're off like that. And I think it seems a lot easier to throw grenades from closed to open on the initial spawn than it is from open to close in terms of getting kills. Yes,
that's because open ramp is closed ramp has glass covering up 2/3 of it, whereas open ramp does not, if that makes sense.
And you have the little mohawk there to kind of help deflect grenades as well.
Right. Well, top mid has like that little middle structure, but it's really easy to get nades around that, whereas the mohawk takes up the majority of the space on that bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So the movement of the spawns for the competitive side, I think, was probably a really smart idea.
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't just do it that way, but who knows?
Well, that's a good thing we have Forge.
Yeah, true that.
Okay, let's move on to Oddball. The Oddball spawns bottom mid, and it's a big rush to get it. You'll have grenades flying everywhere. You probably have 2 or 3 people off the start that die from grenades.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I guess, an important fact that people may not know is that I think the ball will stay in the ball spawn point until someone picks it up, regardless of throwing grenades. If it's in that ball spawn plate, it won't be deflected by grenades.
Is that the case? I didn't realize that. That's interesting.
I think so. I have to double check, but I think that's the case. If it's in the bomb plant or a bomb plate area, it doesn't move until someone's picked it up.
Cool.
Other than that, the ball will be affected by grenades galore.
Yes, the thing likes to bounce around, and then if you pick it up, you can chuck it across the map. So like if you're getting attacked from bottom open, you can chuck it up to like blue ramp, and one of your teammates can pick it up. It's sick.
It's disgusting.
Exactly. Yeah, I've seen some really sick plays. Like I think I was chasing a guy bottom mohawk, and you know how there's the lifts on either side? He just like looks to one of those lifts and just chucks it over to his teammate, and I kill him, and that guy, boom, he's already gone. He's up the ramp. He's top mid. I was like, Jesus! Like if you
Wow.
have a really good team, they can just chuck it like basically have you chasing them in circles as they throw it from one guy to the next around the map. You got to be careful. Yeah.
Nice.
And go for the ball. Don't just try to like get kills because it's instant respawn. Killing does not have a huge impact in this game. It's more about intelligence and throwing the ball.
And a lot of it's positioning too, because there's going to be times where and this is, I see a lot of people do this just because they're inexperienced, but they'll bunch up around the ball carrier, or be in and really close to it, to where if someone gets a grenade on you, they'll kill one of your guys, maybe the ball carrier, and then kind of pick up the other ones.
I mean, that's the normal, like, traditional strategy, right? Is like hold down an area of the map and have all of your teammates position around you, shooting everyone coming at you. But if the ball guy isn't shooting, right, exactly. But if the ball guy is not shooting because he has a ball in his hand, then it's always going to be a 5v4, and you're really likely to get cleaned up in situations like that. But at the same time, people get greedy on the attacking team, right? They think they have the advantage, they push right in, they get killed, and for every time they get killed, that hugely weakens their attack and is more likely to leave you with the ball. So that can definitely work too. That's the other legitimate strategy.
And the other thing just to remember for the oddball now is that you can pass it. And by pass it, you can really pass it. So that's kind of another dynamic, which is really interesting for this map specifically, just because there's at least down the street, you can throw down the street, you can throw across from open to close if needed, you can throw across the middle from side to side. Yep. And there's a lot of different...
designed so well for so many different game types. It's very impressive.
Yeah. And another thing that I don't know how many people know this, but this also works for grenades too, is for each of the streets on the upper side, there's the little windows up at the top that you can throw the ball into or throw grenades into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can jetpack up into those too.
Yeah, those are really, I think, important things to really point out for people, is that those things do exist, and they can affect an outcome of a game if you know how to exploit those areas. And I've definitely got a few grenades kills that way from people not expecting them to come through from the top.
Definitely, that's true. Or just ambushing with jetpack. People really do not expect you to just pop up in the middle of the street for no apparent reason.
Yeah, it's once you're able to really figure out where all the holes are in all the textures of this map, then it becomes a not a hugely different game, but there's significant advantages that you gain from just knowing how the map can actually work and all the stuff that you can use to your advantage.
Yeah, there's actually one funny thing that I did recently that people are like, you can throw the ball, you moron. Because you know how in previous games, if you have the ball and they're chasing you and you're like the last guy in an area, you want to jump off so they don't get the ball in an area that they can hold down?
Yep.
I was playing it in Halo 4 and I jump off with the ball and my teammate's like, you're an idiot. Why didn't you just throw it? You didn't have to do that. This is Halo 4, bro. I was like, dude, I never thought about that. So you can literally throw the ball away in this game, which is cool.
Yeah. So that's. I think we're gonna have another show that talks about all the nuances in the new game types too. We haven't quite done that one yet, but it is coming.
There's a lot to go over.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about SWAT? It's pretty similar to Slayer. Granted, there are a few key differences.
SWAT does have some key differences. No one goes bottom mid in SWAT. SWAT is a pure top game. The power positions are two places, either closed ramp, watching the streets, where you can poke out and you can actually use the glass. There's a guy I watch who's amazing at SWAT. His name's Bois. And it's like, what's up, kids? Your friendly neighborhood Bois here. And he showed his favorite spot on Haven, or in Halo 4, period, is sitting on closed ramp and looking through the two glass panels to his side, where you can see enemies coming down the streets and they can't see you. So when you see an enemy coming, you just jump up, pop them in the head, drop back down, and you can literally just sit there all game and get a perfection, unless they're smart enough to like go under you or jump right before you jump up to shoot them and they miss a shot. So that's
because of the sun reflecting off the stuff, I guess, isn't it? The textures.
Yeah, it's really hard to see through the glass from the one side, but you can see through it from the ramp. And then the other power position is top mid in either the landings or the other platforms. You can see the spawn at closed, at blue ramp, and at red ramp, and they will not spawn. No, I take it back. They will spawn open ramp sometimes, and if you have a headset on, you can hear that spawn, and you can just look down and pop them. But yeah, you pretty much can see all around the map. And that's how people get Killionaires, is just sitting top mid on one of those platforms.
Yeah, there's certain strategic value, I think, to those landing areas too, because one, you can camp there, and two, you can jetpack to a lot of different places from those.
Yeah.
If you're using
jetpack SWAT.
Well, okay, yeah. As a general note, you can jetpack to a lot of different places.
Yeah, jetpack's huge on Haven, but yeah, that's how SWAT works. People just running up the ramps, the streets, and top mid, and you just, whoever's the fastest to shoot and know where they're spawning is gonna win.
I'll use the bottom sometimes to flank if I have stupid teammates that are just kind of running and getting shot off. I'll use the bottom to kind of flank around sometimes and move without the other team knowing exactly where I am.
Yeah, it could work but that requires the rest of your team to be distracting top mid, right? Because they don't see you top mid.
If they're running and being stupid, yeah, they're pretty much distracting enough anyways.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a self-interest point right there.
Yeah. Let's see. We talked about Flood a little bit. The humans spawn on closed side, and then the infected. Well,
is that right?
Actually, no. There's a new rendition of it out.
Variety of points. Yeah, humans spawn all over like the streets and the ramps, I thought.
Yeah, I take that back. So the infected spawn on the open side, and then the humans spawn either on the either in the closed area. I think there's a few spawn points on the street, just me looking around. Then on the either side on blue and red ramp. So those are the main spawns for the humans, and then the infected or the flood are down on the open side. I see a lot of people that just kind of camp in the closed area. It's a pretty good defending position. What else? Other places have you seen?
I've seen people basically just hold down either closed or one of the side ramps. If people go top mid, which I have seen, they get destroyed.
Yeah.
It's not even funny, because then you're just opening yourself up to every single angle possible on the map, plus thruster pack lifting flood zombies.
Oh my goodness!
Not what you want to fight. So
those are scary because they just fly out of nowhere, and you have no idea where they're coming from sometimes.
Yep. It's just really hard to play Haven Flood. There's no one position where you can go that's really powerful, and so you usually get cleaned up pretty fast.
Yeah. And then Regicide was our last one. They have regular Regicide and Team Regicide on this one. I see a lot of fighting going down bottom mid for Regicide, for individual and team.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, like around the bottom open ramp area, a lot of people tend to wind up.
Well, and just in general, I see. I don't know if it's just it's exactly the opposite of SWAT, where SWAT's kind of a top only game. It seems like Regicide's mostly a bottom game. There are quite a few times where you're going up top, but I always see the king kind of fall down to the middle sometimes. I'm not exactly sure why that is.
I think it's probably psychological. Like, he feels safer down there, and there's more walls and more cover. Because if you're up in the top, then, like in SWAT, you want to have the most angles at all times, and that's what the top offers you. But as king, you want to limit the amount of angles that everyone is going to have on you. The problem with this is that there are places on top where you should be, like the streets or closed ramp, moving back and forth, not staying still because you'll get grenaded, obviously. And that gives you a lot of options. Like, if you're getting killed, you can drop down, you can escape. You have a number of directions where you can move. If you're bottom, you're king, you're going to get cleaned up from, a number of directions. It's going to be a short-lived life as king. So I think it's more like a psychological feeling safe effect rather than actually being safe.
All right. Same thing for Team Regicide is a little bit different from the individual. I think the individual one's a lot more balanced in terms of where they are on the map. I see a lot more top utilization compared to the team one. The team one seems to be the one that dominates the bottom area.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the FFA. Because I see the
Oh, no, I was
FFA
talking
go
about
under all
register.
the time.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess just the games most of the time I play, and I see the team end up on the bottom more than the FFA does. Because I get king maybe a third of the time to a half the time when I'm playing on Team Regicide, and I'll go for King Joust all the time because they'll just kind of hang near the low areas, and I'll get probably about 4 or 5 King Jousts throughout a game, just because
I always see kings pushing up into the streets or sitting on ramps and having their team defending them, almost similar to Oddball is how I think Team Regicide is played on Haven. But for me, FFA Regicide, half the games it's just people rushing bottom mid, getting killed over and over and over and over. But you know there's people there, so you're gonna keep going there and getting killed over and over and over and over. And that's like every other game I play on that map.
That people is where grenades come in really handy.
Yes.
Yeah. But so in terms of just recommendations of where I guess the best spots for King are, you said the streets are pretty good ones. And I could see that, especially for FFA, you kind of want to stick to the top. There's going to be times where you're just going to get cornered, and at that point, you're kind of at the mercy of who kills you first.
Yes.
But
let's say you're bottom street, and you're getting pinched by 2 guys. Where are you going to go? Right? You're basically stuck, unless you jetpack up through that drop. But if you're up top, and you have 2 guys shooting you, you can drop down, and then you can go either left, you can go right, you can take the lift. You just have a lot more options, and that doubles at least your chances of survival.
Yeah, and then it leaves the other guy in the dust and possibly be able to be picked up by other people.
Yes, exactly.
So let's talk about the competitive stuff. Of course, we've been hinting at some of the MLG specific game type stuff that they've come up with, and they've moved the spawns around. And for those who aren't aware of the competitive side of stuff, there's a significant difference between competitive Halo style and casual Halo style. One of them being callouts. So you want to run through the callouts real quick of what you know that they've established to be so far?
Oh, dude, there's a lot of callouts, but yeah, I'll do my best.
Or do you want to save this for the video portion? We could do this in the video portion later.
Are we doing a video portion? I was not even aware. I mean, I can just run through them really fast if you want. People can sort of visualize. I'll start like on.
Let's start
one of
open
the
side.
sides.
Yeah, let's start open side.
Yeah. All right. So you have the open ramp where you spawn. Under that is the ditch. You have some people call it the red wing and the blue wing. If they're closer to like red side or blue side on the open ramp. Bottom mid. And then if you want to move, let's say, towards red side, then down there people call that red tunnel, and above that is red bridge, right? That's where the broken bridge is. Red ramp is obvious on the side. Then you walk through red street. There's the red lift that takes you to red landing. And then that's pretty much it for the colored sides. It's the same exact as on the blue. Then when we get to closed, you have closed ramp, Mohawk in front of it on top mid. Bottom Mohawk is what a lot of people call under that. Some people call it closed bridge, where the gap is in the middle, and closed tunnel under that. And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay, that's not actually too bad.
Yeah, that's not as bad as I thought.
I've heard some other people kind of call out some really specific stuff sometimes, but
I forgot about the platforms. So like if you're going like red lift up to red landing, then you know how there's those 4 plats on the top? The one that's opposite on red side is called red platform. And that's a really good power position for people. It has a lot of great angles.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's stilts. Those are next to Mohawk. And those are really great power positions too, because you can go pretty much anywhere from those to anywhere on the map.
You mean the 2 things on the side that you can walk up from the bottom?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Just checking there for a secc.
Yeah.
that kind of
Can you think of
segues.
anything else?
Not really. Are there specific callouts for the little jump up areas on which side someone's on?
The little jump up areas? You mean from bottom mid?
No. So like you have the 2 platforms on bottom streets where people can jump up or hide behind.
Oh no, I've never heard a call out for any of those.
Okay.
We'll just say like bottom red street or red tunnel.
Because there's 2 of those on each side, so I didn't know if each one had a specific name.
I think some people call them like B1, B2, B3, B4, with B1 starting at blue side and then going all the way to B4 at the red ramp, but that's a weird call out. I've never heard anyone use it in matchmaking.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you heard anything.
Yeah, I don't know. And it's surprising to me. Like, I've never followed the evolution of callouts at the start of a Halo game before, like I have with Halo 4. But it just does not seem to be coming together. I don't know about you. Like, people still have so many different callouts and so many different names, and no one's agreeing on anything for any of the maps. So it's hard to have good callouts when you can't even, be sure what the major parts of a map are called, let alone the minor parts.
I'm actually pulling out the card that they gave out at Dallas, the Prima cards.
Nice.
Taking a quick look here at the callouts that they have. And actually, the B1, B2, B3, B4 is what's on the card, believe it or not.
Well, there you go.
That's probably where they got it from.
Yeah.
Actually, looking at it now, I haven't actually looked at this before, but the callouts we just went through are the exact callouts that are on here.
I'm good like that.
So open ramp, ditch, red wing, blue wing, bottom mid, blue tunnel. So if you're from the open side, the left-hand side is blue. So blue tunnel, blue bridge, blue ramp, blue street, and then same thing for the red side. Closed ramp, closed tunnel, closed bridge, B1, 2, 3, 4, and blue landing, red landing. So those are all MLG specific callouts, believe it or not.
Yeah, boy. I just wish that the map actually had blue and red sides. That would make the callouts so much easier and agreed upon. But oh well.
So I was watching the Game Battles tournament last weekend, as of this recording, and they actually put the little colored orbs in the ceiling.
Yep. Well, MLG does it, but it's not in like default matchmaking. Is what I meant. Yeah.
Right.
You can use these callouts whether you're playing with casuals or not. It just helps to know where your enemy is, so that if you're like one shot blue tunnel, people know exactly where to look, as opposed to like he's weak over in like that bottom area by like the thing, this where it's broken. Oh god, he's full shields again,
Yeah, by the time you're done explaining where it is, it's like, well, that's too late.
Exactly. And people who just stop caring. It's like, cool story, bro.
Let's talk about jump ups. So there's quite a few. There's the ones that go from bottom close to up close on the little stilts.
Yeah, and then there's right next to those, if you go a little more towards bottom mid, where you can jump up through that crack by closed tunnel. Do you know those two?
Which crack?
So you know how you have like the stilts and you can just run right up it? If you walk forward towards middle just a little bit more, there's 2 gaps on the sides of the wall with an incline that moves up. And if you crouch jump into them and walk up, and then crouch jump up, you can land back on top middle just from those 2 little things.
Oh wow, I just did it too. Wow.
Are you playing right now?
I'm in Forge.
Nice. Okay, well I guess my instructions worked out.
Yeah, they worked out really well.
Nice.
And we'll try doing this in the video part too.
Cool.
There's that jump. There's a lot more jetpack jumps than there are actual like crouch jumps.
Oh god, you could not even start to cover all the jetpack jumps.
And I'm sure I don't know them all either.
Yeah, I was watching one of the 2v2s at Dallas. I think it was Elamite was filling in for one of the Ogre twins versus another pair of Pro twins or something like that. And I think it was Lunchbox and Roy. And Lunchbox was just doing some ridiculous things with the jetpack that I've like still not seen in a game before. Just you give these pros the options and they will take advantage. It's amazing what they can do.
So the 2 big ones that I saw used at Dallas were the we have the 2 on the ramp side before you go to the middle. As you're going to the middle, the 2 towers that stick out to the side with the incline on the side. A lot of people jump to those, and you can actually jump to the open ramp. So I've seen that used quite a bit.
Yes, definitely.
A lot of the other jetpack jumps, you can jetpack jump from just about anywhere in the middle to one of the outer sides. You can jump through the little holes in the ceilings, or you can jump over the man cannon part and kind of ambush someone that's running along a street. I've done that quite a few times.
Definitely. And I think in MLG they put jump ups because they don't have jetpacks in their game type, so you can just go from bottom drop to top drop jumping on these two little plats.
Yeah, they have like a little stairway up there.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's in the MLG V1 or just the 2v2 tournament that I saw recently, but they also had a platform extending from red and blue wing all the way around open ramp to bottom of the blue and red tunnels.
Yeah, I heard a friend telling me about that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I didn't really see people use it, but it was there.
Like, cause you have to jump over the guardrail there, right? In order to use it.
I think so.
So I would imagine that's probably why. There's another little hidey hole which I haven't seen too many people use, but I've seen some use. But on the open ramp side, on the bottom, there's a little strut that sticks out, and you can actually run, crouch, jump up there, and kind of hide. Yeah,
that's super useful for staying alive. Most people don't know about that spot.
So I've only actually recently discovered that. But there's also lots of little other hidey holes. You could there are so many different jetpack jumps on this map that it'd take a long time to explain them all. I think it'd just be better to try to show them off in the video part.
Sure.
But is there anything else in particular that you wanted to address? Because I think we covered most of the stuff for this map so far.
Haven, it's an awesome map. If you haven't played it, you should play it. All I gotta say.
It's a lot of fun. So I want to thank Nak3d Eli for coming on and talking to us about Haven. I think we got a pretty good overview in audio form as much as we can to the best of our abilities. So we will look into doing a video follow-up to this, so you'll probably see that come out probably within a week of this airing on our website.